elevate them into becoming ministers and in other positions of responsibility and decision making. It's something that has to be done. We must do it. It is the way to go for the country.
The public health emergency that has been ongoing in your country, what's the status of that?
The state of emergency was declared for a period of 21 days. The 21-day period has elapsed and the state of emergency has ended. We've resolved the immediate and pressing challenges in the health sector. We are now developing sustainable and durable means of ensuring that the shortages of medicines in our health facilities do not recur.
Those who may have participated in leading to a public health emergency, either by acts of omission or commission, anyone been arrested? Any investigations?
There are investigations going on. There's a forensic audit that is taking place in the country that covers all these government entities and departments. And at the end of it,
it's taken a bit longer than one would have expected.
Well, it takes a bit of time. It was we calculated that it would take about 9 months.
9 months to investigate.
Yes, because you have several entities of government. You have to look at systems that failed. You have to look at what happened, and then investigation is about gathering evidence that you can stack up in a court. It's not suspicions, however strong. So it's also very important. We are a country that subscribes to and promotes the rule of law, and so we do everything by the letter of the law. And so we take our time, we ensure that everything is properly done, and that there's no perception that there's some witch hunting.
And finally, I'll give you a last word on the performance of Botswana's team on the athletics front. We saw the feats at the World Athletics Championships began to stand out beyond Kenya and Ethiopia. Tell us more.
I've been supporting very closely. I've had engagements with them. I've had meetings with them to encourage. But it also is a function of the belief that we have in our young people, the dynamism, the resilience of our young people, the growing self-belief, and now showcased on the international stage. We believe that we draw from such countries as Kenya that have been in that space and others, and now Botswana comes along. We believe other countries will now be
You believe
inspired,
you're the new kid on the block?
And Africa will now not only emerge in the area of trade and commerce. In sport, Africa will also take its rightful place.
Thank you for listening to The Interview from the BBC World Service. You'll find more in-depth conversations on The Interview wherever you get your BBC podcasts, including episodes with the Somalian President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright, and the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed. Until next time, it's bye for now.
From the BBC, that was The Interview. I'm Saroja Coelho. CBC News is next.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marcy Marcusa. This is Information Radio. We're live in downtown Winnipeg with our team at the show. This is your morning show until 8:37 a.m. on 89.3 FM, 990 a.m. on that app and on YouTube. We're starting our day in Winnipeg clear and 8 degrees. It will be sunny in the day and our high is 16. Corey Funk is here directing the show. Good morning, Corey. Corey covers the commute on air as well. Abby Adiemi on air. You'll hear him doing weather. He is our senior tech behind the controls. And Darren Marash is also here. He's our producer of our YouTube stream if you're watching there. So on behalf of all of us, thanks for spending some time with us. It is Friday, October the 10th, and heading into the Thanksgiving long weekend if you happen to have it off. All right, let's go to Heather Wells to update us on what's making news this morning at 3 minutes to 6 a.m. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, a Winnipeg mother says Oak Park High School has to do more to protect students from bullying. She says her daughter was assaulted and mocked for her Ukrainian accent by 5 girls inside a washroom at that Charleswood High School last week. The mother says her daughter now is afraid to go to school where she's been told at least some of the girls will continue studying. The leader of the opposition has some concerns about the proposed site of Manitoba's first methamphetamine detox Center. Premier Wab Kinew says he wants a 20-bed facility set up at 190 Disraeli. PC leader Abi Khan says he's not sure about detaining people in the heart of Winnipeg's inner city. We'll hear more in our next local news coming up at 6:30.
All right, thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Well, if you're waking up in Brandon today, you can look forward to a sunny day and a nice high of 18. And if Thompson's your city, mix of sun and cloud, and your high is 13 degrees. In our show this morning in the first hour, if I asked you to name an artist, maybe you'd say Van Gogh. Maybe you'd go further back and say Michelangelo. For years, art education has been ruled by the European masters, but a Winnipeg nonprofit wants to change that. We're going to hear more about that coming up. Also, we've been doing this series about whether or not Winnipeg's boring and do we lack nightlife. Today, we're going to go to Ottawa. They actually have a nightlife mayor. So what has this person been doing? And they have a website to improve how people access nightlife in Ottawa. Has that been working? Stay tuned. We'll look at that. And we'll also tee up the latest season for Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre and the Warehouse. We have the artistic director who's going to be in studio with us on the show today. And we'll have more on that story Heather just mentioned about the bullying that the mother says happened to her daughter.
Today on Q.
Natalie McMaster is one of the greatest ever Cape Breton fiddlers. She came up as part of the resurgence of Cape Breton music, and she toured with some of the biggest musicians in the world, bringing her music to a global audience. But she'll be here to tell you why her new memoir is called I Have a Love Story.
It's just common sense kindness and love your neighbor as yourself kind of thing.
Q with Tom Power, this morning at 10:30 in Newfoundland, and on CBC Listen, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Report. Good morning. I'm Angie Seth. Singing and prayers in Tel Aviv's Hostage Square this morning as a ceasefire in the Gaza war is now in effect. The Israel Defense Forces are starting to pull back to a first demarcation line. Within 72 hours, Hamas will also free its hostages, followed by the Israeli release of Palestinian prisoners. The rapid developments follow Thursday's agreement on the first phase of Donald Trump's peace plan. The CBC's Willie Lowry is in Washington for us following these developments. So, Willie, the U.S. has not only had a major role in achieving the ceasefire, but it will also be monitoring it as well. Tell us more about that.
That's right. The U.S. is sending 200 troops to Israel to support and monitor the ceasefire. U.S. officials told reporters in a call late last night that U.S. Central Command will establish a military-civilian coordination center inside Israel to help ensure that the ceasefire holds. U.S. troops, some of whom have already started arriving in the region, are not expected to enter Gaza. They'll be working alongside soldiers from Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. The U.S. played an instrumental role in brokering this deal and is expected to continue to play a leading role as they push for this deal to move forward. In order for the hostages to be released and aid to flow back into the Gaza Strip, the ceasefire must hold.
And what about the president, Donald Trump? He's saying that he'll be heading to the Middle East possibly as early as today. So what is he planning there?
Well, President Trump has been adamant that he wants to travel to the region, and the White House has confirmed that he intends to do so, but the timeline is still unclear. He has said he hopes to travel to Egypt, where an official signing ceremony is expected to take place, and according to Israeli media reports, he's expected to arrive in Israel on Monday morning. He will address the Knesset, Israel's parliament, and then likely head home. The 20 living Israeli hostages, as well as the remains of around 28 who died in captivity, are expected to be returned to Israel on Monday or Tuesday. And that's a moment that President Trump has expressed an interest in being there for. But logistics may make that difficult.
All right, we'll be watching those developments. CBC's Willie Lowry for us in Washington. Willie, thank you for this.
My pleasure.
The winner of this year's Nobel Peace Prize is Maria Corina Machado. She's a key opposition figure in Venezuelan politics, and the Nobel Committee calls her an extraordinary example of civilian courage.
She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy.
Machado is known as Venezuela's Iron Lady. She tried to run against Nicolas Maduro in 2024 in the presidential election, but she was disqualified from holding office, a move seen as politically motivated. After Maduro's re-election, Machado went into hiding. Her location remains undisclosed to this day. People in Peru are celebrating a major shakeup in their government. Their deeply unpopular president, Dina Boluarte, has been removed from office. Her term has been marked by protests and accusations she's done little to stop crime in Peru. Last night, Congress gave her until midnight to appear and defend her government. Boluarte never showed up, and 124 out of 130 lawmakers voted to impeach her. The leader of Congress is taking over as president until April 2026, when a new election is due to be held. Taiwan's president, meantime, is promising peace through strength. Lai Chih-deng his announcement comes as Taiwan celebrates its National Day against the backdrop of growing military threats from China's government. Beijing claims the strategic island as its own. CBC correspondent Chris Brown has more for us from Taipei.
Celebrating its National Day, Taiwan's government put on a spectacle of dancers and military bands, with President Lai Ching-te using his speech to celebrate the island's democracy and political freedoms, in contrast to the People's Republic of China, its enormous neighbor and adversary across the strait. Notably, he spelled out details of a major new defense initiative, what he called the T-Dome, or Taiwan Dome, a multi-layered missile shield to intercept drones, rockets, and missiles that he said would be paid for out of a special boost to the defense budget. China's belligerence against Taiwan has dramatically increased of late, with more overflights and indications its naval ships might be staging dry runs for a potential invasion. But Ronan Fu, a Taipei political scientist, says many Taiwanese remain skeptical war is coming.
People start to get the sense that, okay, so you always tell me that it's coming, but it has been so many years, passing by, and nothing actually happened.
Taiwan's strategic importance to both the United States and China has soared as its microchip-making industry has become #1 in the world. China's response to the missile dome announcement is that Taiwan seeking independence will only increase the risk of war. Chris Brown, CBC News, Taipei.
Rescuers in the Philippines are assessing the damage after a strong 7.4 magnitude earthquake has struck the southern coast early in the morning. At least 2 people are dead. Several buildings, including a hospital, are damaged. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says relief operations are ready to be deployed once it is safe. The country is still recovering from a quake 2 weeks ago that left at least 74 people dead and displaced thousands. A former undercover police informant in the Maritimes is suing the RCMP and the federal government. Paul Derry says he suffered abuse in his work as an operative 40 years ago. The CBC's Blair Rhodes has more.
Paul Derry says there's one question driving his lawsuit.
What were you thinking when you put a 17-year-old, even a couple of years before, a 15-year-old? What were you thinking to use somebody like that?
Derry says when he was just 17, police sent him to infiltrate a child sex ring operating out of a motel in Moncton, New Brunswick. He says he ended up being abused himself. He had a lengthy career as an undercover operative, gathering information that led to dozens of convictions across New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, including that of Hells Angels hitmen. Derry was placed in witness protection for several years, so he was surprised when government lawyers suggested the lawsuit should be transferred from federal court, where it was filed, to New Brunswick Provincial Court in Moncton. Derry says he fears for his life if the transfer is made.
In 2019, it was deemed a threat area to me by the RCMP. And now they're asking me to go back there. It's quite obvious that I testified against the Hells Angels in Halifax, 2 hours away. They know that I did most of my work in Moncton. I did it for them.
Derry and his lawyer are fighting the transfer request, but he says even if the case ends up being heard in Moncton, he's going to see it through. Derry is no longer in witness protection, and his experience in that program led to an earlier lawsuit that, 6 years later, still hasn't been resolved.
I've resigned myself to the fact that I'll be dead and God, and hopefully my children will see some resolution to the things that they've had to deal with and the life they've had to live with being around me.
The RCMP is refusing to comment while the matter is before the courts. Blair Rhodes, CBC News, Halifax.
And we're about to enter one of the busiest travel weekends of the year. Many Canadians traveling for Thanksgiving aren't taking any chances, especially after recent glitches at the Canada Border Services Agency brought airports and borders to a crawl. Here's more from Colin Butler.
So I took a day off work to be there earlier. We're going to stop in Michigan and then drive to Chicago after.
Ricky Cheng has a plan. Suitcase packed, running shoes ready. He left Thursday, Chicago bound. He's not chasing turkey. He's chasing the finish line at the Chicago Marathon, and he's beating the rush, or so he hopes. Last week, 48 hours of computer glitches at the Canada Border Services Agency jammed terminals at airports and border crossings that left travelers inching through lines and truckers parked for hours. This weekend, the CBSA says the systems are solid.
We don't anticipate any outages this weekend. The CBSA is ready. We do have contingency plans in place.
Superintendent Adam James says if we all do our part, ID ready, receipts handy, know the rules before you go, there will be fewer snags.
Exactly. That will expedite it. Plus, it'll make life easier for all.
So Ricky Cheng's early jump might just pay off. Chicago by Thursday night, Marathon on Sunday, and when he drives back home on Monday...
I don't know what to expect, to be honest. Hopefully not too long.
A smooth border crossing after a long race. Now, that's something to be thankful for. Colin Butler, CBC News, London, Ontario.
That's the latest national and international news from World Report. I'm Angie Seth. This is CBC News.
Well, good morning, everyone. How you doing out there? Friday morning before the Thanksgiving long weekend. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Thanks for spending the time with us this morning on the morning show. This is CBC 89.3 FM. 8 degrees in the city of Winnipeg. It is going to be lots of sunshine today in our forecast here in the south. This hour on the program, if you were to name an artist, who would you think of? A lot of people can come up with Van Gogh, maybe Michelangelo. For years, art education has been ruled by European masters, but a Winnipeg nonprofit wants to change that. We'll find out how. Also, you've just been hearing about some of the latest developments to phase one of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. We'll dig into that in some more detail. And then coming up at 10 to 7 this morning, more on that marketplace investigation about professional fraudsters swindling thousands of us in Canada with false promises of financial gain on the markets. We're going to hear more about one of the latest scams. Right now, let's go to Heather Wells in our news center with headlines.
Good morning. Well, a Winnipeg mother says her daughter was beaten up by 5 girls inside a washroom at Oak Park High School last week. CBC News isn't naming the mother to protect the child, but the mother says her daughter told her the girls accused her of saying negative things about them, which she denied, and she alleges the girls then made fun of her daughter's Ukrainian accent. We're going to hear more about what happened and what the mother wants to see done. As well, a semi-trailer was caught on video rolling into a Winnipeg street without a driver behind the wheel. It happened earlier this week on Oak Point Highway. We're going to hear from a business manager who says it was alarming. I'll be back with more Manitoba news at 6:30.
I guess so.
Oh, my goodness.
Right?
Yes.
Can you even imagine? Wow. Okay, Heather, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's get into the forecast here. Abby, it's a bit of a mixed bag looking ahead to the full weekend, but today looks nice.
Yeah, it looks nice. Just more like a continuation of yesterday, but more like a nice day. Another bright fall day. We're going to see sunshine from end to end, mild in the south and a bit cool up north. Winnipeg right now, clear outside, 8 degrees, lots of sunshine today. A high around 16 degrees with calm winds, and then tonight we'll see temperatures drop to about 4 degrees. Across the south from the Red River, Pembina, Westman, Parkland and Interlake region, it's a cool start. We're seeing temperatures between 1 and 7 degrees. Expect sunshine, light winds and highs between 16 and 18 degrees. While up north we're seeing partly cloudy skies at this time with temperatures around 5 degrees. Most of the regions up north will see highs between 9 and 15 today. Once again, Winnipeg, we are at 8th, and it's going to be a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah, it sure is. Thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
That's always nice on Friday, right? Corey Funk,
You gotta
get a nice day.
Yeah, those Friday vibes kind of reflects it.
Yeah. Although your focus at work might be down. Not yours, but anyone's. All of
Yeah,
ours,
you're just like, I want to get out.
Looking out the window with the sun.
Exactly.
The commute.
Yeah, so far things actually are running pretty smoothly out there. Haven't heard of any major issues yet, being the big operative word. But so if you see something going on, give me a call on the CBC commuter line. I'll let folks know what you're seeing. That number, 204-788-3093.
Well, up first on the program this morning, if Yvette Cinerini was to describe arts education in Manitoba, in one word, she says she would call it basic. And she's trying to change that one click at a time. She's part of an art education specialist, but she's also part of MAWA, which is a Winnipeg nonprofit that mentors female artists. Recently, the organization launched Art Alive. It's a new website. It acts as an educational resource for Manitoba teachers. And she hopes it will teach Manitoba kids that great art is not just a thing of the past. And Yvette's up early and with us on Information Radio. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So tell me a little bit about what makes you call the current state of art education, Yvette, basic.
I think it's, our world is just so bombarded with visuals that kids need to learn how to read and understand images and objects so that they, feel that the world feels relevant to them. In the schools, I think teachers don't have enough time, to do some of this research. Not a lot of them are trained in actual visual arts, which is difficult to put them in a hard position to have to teach in schools, and there might be a lack of resources as well. And so this tool is just really to help teachers, just to make it a little easier, integrate art into the classroom.
How important is it that art is relevant? As an artist yourself, what do you remember about your own art education and what you related to, or what was like, I don't relate to this, for example?
Yeah. Well, in school, art education wasn't really a thing in my school. Even in my children's school presently, only because they haven't taken art in high school. But in elementary school, the projects are very very interest based. Everybody, let's all just make the same image, the same picture, use the exact same technique, and that's not. The kids need to be able to express themselves, and you're missing the point of art if you're not able to express yourself. So, yeah, that's, I think, what we're trying to change.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I had said right before you were on that, most people are going to, if you ask about art, a lot of people will be able to name Van Gogh and Michelangelo, but as long as we're back in the day with the European masters, all the old white guys, so to speak, we're really missing the point, right?
Yeah, and that's the other issue, is that there's not enough resources out there for teachers. They're all really outdated, and they feature, historical art that isn't relevant to today. The kids need to see themselves in the artwork. They need to see themselves in the artist. Art is such a powerful way to express or to talk about issues in our contemporary world. It has an important social role. So, yeah, they're just missing a big chunk of, things that they could use art in their classroom to get access to reach the kids, inspire and engage them.
We were just rolling, our show's also on YouTube while we're talking here, and so people can see images of what they might find on Art Alive. And there's such a variety of art when we look at these images. So I'm seeing, local artists, obviously, they're all women. This is Miriam Rudolph. This is sort of her printing process of Manitoba images. That looks like there's a fiber art example here as well. There's work that's photography that looks like landscape, but kind of abstract. I see little feet in the corner of this one, I think it's. And then some of these are, some of these are also just beautiful paintings, images of families. And I mean, lots of diversity and texture. And there's, graphic art. What type of thought went into the curation process as you're seeing, as you mentioned, this website and these pieces as helping as a resource?
Yeah, that actually was a difficult process. To sort of, we just wanted to include everyone, but for now, we started with we needed three things. We needed students to be able to see different mediums, like what you listed. We got the classic painting, sculpture, but we need to say that we want to show that art can be really anything. So we needed to throw in, we have sound art, performance art, just a really good mixture. And again, we wanted students to recognize themselves. So we have artists from all walks of life. We have established artists, emerging artists, Indigenous artists, artists of color, from the deaf and disability community, gender expansive artists, Francophone artists, rural artists. So there's something a little bit for everyone. And this helps kids. Look at art as something interesting and relevant to them, and it helps them realize that their voice is also important. And then the other factor we needed to look at was we were looking for artworks that connected to curriculum because the resource is really meant to help teachers integrate art into any subject matter, like science, whether they're studying trees and animals or environmental sustainability. We even have neuroscience thrown in there.
So there's themes in the artwork that'll spark discussions no matter where, what the area of study is, what the class is.
Yeah.
It's such a smart thing to do, It's one of those things that's a great idea, and why haven't we done this before? So I'm glad that MAWA got ahead of it. Thank you very much, Yvette, for telling us more about it. If there's a teacher out there listening, or if there's just anyone out there listening that wants to boost their art knowledge and be inspired by the work, leave us once again with the website.
Yeah, it's artalive.mawa.ca.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for being up early. Have a wonderful weekend.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
That is artalive.mawa, which is MAWA, mentoring artists for women's art.ca, artalive.mawa.ca. We've been speaking this morning early with Yvette Centurini. She's an art education specialist with MAWA, who helped to put together this website.
The Great Canadian Baking Show is back.
Hello, beautiful bakers, and welcome to the tent.
10 contestants.
On your marks. Get set, bake.
All hoping for the sweet smell of success.
I am at the stage of panic. Just got to say a little prayer.
I'm in heaven.
Wow. I haven't even tasted it, and I'm happy.
I forgot to put in the eggs.
Is anyone else uncontrollably shaking right now?
It's a new season of The Great Canadian Baking Show. Watch free on CBC Gem.
I'm excited about that starting again. I'm getting ready this weekend to make my pies. I don't know about you. I think I'm going to go apple and pumpkin because I roll like that. 8 degrees is temperature right now in Winnipeg. Brandon, you're clear 1. Thompson, mainly clear, and 4 degrees. Well, next on the show, let's return to more serious matters and international and national news. It is a ceasefire, but not a peace deal in the Middle East that we've been absorbing since yesterday, and it is fragile. There's cautious celebration in Israel about phase 1 of a deal signed with Hamas, which would allow for the freeing of all remaining hostages by Monday or Tuesday. So there's going to be a lot of development over the next number of days here. In Gaza, there is also relief. People are desperate for an end to the starvation and to the bombing. Fawaz Gurgis is with us once again this morning, Professor of International Relations at the London School of Economics. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
So here we are now, a day out from learning, what this is supposed to be. What is the significance of the phase of the ceasefire deal that hangs that all of this hangs on, in the balance?
Well, I mean, I think the significance of the deal lies, in the humanitarian dimension aspect. It's the beginning of the end of the humanitarian catastrophe for the 2.2 million Palestinians in Gaza. The loss, the suffering, the famine, the starvation. It's also the end of the horror for the Israeli hostages and the Palestinian prisoners that will be released in the next 72 hours. So all in all, it's a moment of hope. It's a moment of joy for both the Palestinians and the Israelis. The devil lies in the details. That's the problem, is that the morning after, there is no clarity about the morning after. And every point in President Trump's plan is a minefield that could really implode the whole thing after the exchange of the Israeli prisoners in return for the Palestinian prisoners.
We're talking about the prisoner exchange within 72 hours, but what are you watching for in terms of what is the sequence of events in the next 48 hours, like the next 2 days this weekend?
Well, I think what we have seen today, what we've seen in the last 2 days or so, is that both Israel and Hamas have signed into President Trump's plan to release, Hamas will release the 48 Israeli hostages who are alive and dead in return for 2,000 Palestinian prisoners in Israel's prisons by Monday or Tuesday at the latest. President Trump is traveling to Israel and Egypt on Sunday in order to witness the exchange. And Egypt and Turkey and Qatar have also are participants in this particular deal that was signed by Hamas and Israel. The Israeli government has already agreed to the deal, and the Israeli army pulled out of the centers of Palestinian cities, even though the Israeli army continues to control 53% of Gaza, according to the Israeli Defense Ministry.
What's next for the people of Gaza then? Like, what has to actually happen to alleviate the humanitarian crisis there? And can that happen while Israel continues to control 53%?
I really don't know where to begin regarding your important question. 2 years of hellish life. 92% of the infrastructure in Gaza has been destroyed. 94% of hospitals and clinics have been destroyed. Literally, we have less than 2% of agricultural land that is still basically have not been bulldozed by Israel. That means Israel bulldozed, destroyed 98% of cropland in Gaza. You have 50 million tons of rubble. It will take Gaza probably 20 years, according to the United Nations, in order to just remove the rubble. So what we need is not just a ceasefire. You need flood of humanitarian and aid and medicine, but you need also to reconstruct, rebuild the infrastructure. You need to allow the Palestinians to live. Imagine, there are no homes. Literally, they're living in tents, and winter is coming now in the desert. Gaza is mainly desert, so you can imagine. So this is really what it's all about. It's not just the temporary relief. It's whether the world, whether the international community can really speed up the process of reconstruction to allow the Palestinians not only to eat, but also to survive. This is a huge challenge facing the 2.2 million Palestinians in Gaza.
I just want to ask you a provocative question, and I'm sorry if it sounds like it's short-sighted, but I'm thinking ahead and I'm thinking to myself, President Trump put out this, people in the world widely condemned it as offensive. Remember that early in the war, that AI-generated thing where he was buying Gaza and building hotels, that whole thing that went around. The reality is, though, If Palestine and if Gaza needs, that much support to even have the possibility of rebuilding, could we see the U.S. president or the U.S. step up and say, here we are, we can do this, we can be the ones to help you speed up all of what you need to rebuild because we'll come in and do this for you. And we actually are going to be in a position where we see, again, that outside interest and not the people who are in that region controlling their own futures and how they want to rebuild.
Well, I don't think you're asking a naive question at all. You're asking really a fundamental question about human decency and about leadership. I wish I had an answer to your question. But everything we know that President Trump is really more of a transactional president. His plan really is more technical than visionary. It's not just for me, it's about really helping the people in Gaza to recover. It's about really reconciliation between Israelis and Palestinians, about acknowledging basic Palestinian rights, their rights to self-determination, to a state of their own, to healing, the scars of wars between Israel and the Palestinians. And this requires major political investment on the part of the United States. You see, one of the lessons we have learned is that only Israel listens to one person, only one person in the world, and that's Donald Trump. And when and if Donald Trump basically decides to tell Netanyahu to behave, Netanyahu does behave. But do I really believe that President Trump has the attention span, will remain focused, will invest major political capital in Gaza and helping the Palestinians? I don't, sadly. And that's why I need the world, not just the United States. Canada, France, Britain, Germany, the global South, Japan. You really need the international community and the Arab and the Muslim state. They have a huge responsibility. But here's the irony. You and I were talking about really what the United States and the West and Arab and Muslim state could do to help Gaza. It was Israel that dropped 200,000 of bombs on Gaza. Israel should be required under international law to compensate the Palestinians. But of course, this question is never discussed or even addressed, let alone really is a realistic question. And guess what? You talked about the United States. The United States provided Israel with 93% probably of the bombs and the explosives that destroyed Gaza.
We will talk again, Fawaz Gerges. Thank you very much for your point of view and for your perspective and on this. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Fawaz Gerges, author of What Really Went Wrong, The West and the Failure of Democracy in the Middle East, and professor of international relations at the London School of Economics. Your local CBC News is next.
This is CBC News. Good morning. I'm Heather Wells in Winnipeg. At 6:30, it's 8 degrees. It's going to be just a beautiful day. Sunny, a high of 16. Pretty perfect for this time of year. A Winnipeg mother says Oak Park High School has to do more to protect students from bullying. She says her daughter was assaulted and mocked for her Ukrainian accent by 5 girls inside a washroom last week. Now, CBC News isn't naming the mother to protect her daughter's identity. She says she got a call from a teacher last Thursday about the incident and rushed to the school.
I saw my daughter in a shock. One friend was with her. She had a scratch on her face, on her back, big bruise on her forehead, big bruise, swollen bruise on her right leg, one more bruise on her left leg.
Her daughter said the girls had knocked her head onto a counter, pushed her to the floor, and kicked her. She says her daughter is now afraid to go to school, where she's been told at least some of the girls will continue studying. Neither Oak Park High School nor Pembina Trail School Division will say if any of the students have been disciplined. Winnipeg police say they arrested 2 people on Monday. Wab Canoe says he wants downtown Winnipeg to be the home of Winnipeg's first methamphetamine detox center. The Premier says what would initially be a 20-bed facility is planned for 190 Disraeli. It all depends on the passage of a bill to extend the time people can be held in detox from 24 hours to 72. PC critic for addictions and homelessness, Jeff Bariza, says his party still has a lot of questions about how it will work.
It's very good to have these people in somewhere for 72 hours, but how many? Where are they going to be? Where does the staffing come from? What happens in rural Manitoba?
190 Disraeli is the same building where a supervised consumption site had been proposed last year before the province changed its mind. It has been nearly a year since the province and Manitoba RCMP announced a special unit to target major crimes in the Swan Valley region. But the promised General Investigation Section has yet to have an officer. Of the 22 positions in the Swan River Detachment, 10 are vacant. RCMP say they need to hire more people before they can fill the new unit. Local business owners say police shortages are hurting the community. Raina Badowski runs the Swan School of Dance. She has to call police almost weekly and worries about her family.
It's pretty scary knowing that, if something happened and we called the cops in the middle of the night, chances are nobody's coming for a while.
RCMP say 3 new members will join the Swan River Detachment in November, and the General Investigation Unit is expected to be staffed next year. A Canadian transport company is investigating after a truck rolled onto a Winnipeg street without a driver. It happened on Oak Point Highway at Eagle Drive on Wednesday. A video posted on social media shows the semi moving into traffic, bouncing lightly back and forth before a man ran to open the door. Daryl Budge is the general manager of an area business.
Fortunately, the truck didn't hit any poles or damage anything and didn't have a collision with any other vehicles, but that's, luckily that's the way it turned out, but it could have been a lot worse. I agree that it's a scary situation.
Winnipeg police say the incident wasn't reported to them. The company operating the truck says it is investigating. Israel's military says the Gaza ceasefire is now in effect. Troops are beginning to withdraw, and once they reach the agreed position, Hamas has 72 hours to return the hostages, and a significant humanitarian aid operation is about to begin. In this country, Postal Workers Union says it's moving from a nationwide walkout to rotating strikes beginning tomorrow morning. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers National President Jan Simpson says the move to rotating strikes will get mail and parcels into the hands of Canadians. The winner of this year's Nobel Peace Prize is Maria Corina Machado. She is a key opposition figure in Venezuelan politics, and the Nobel Committee calls her an extraordinary example of civilian courage.
She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy.
Machado is known as Venezuela's Iron Lady. You can hear more national and international news coming up on World Report at 7. Well, after signing that big contract, Kyle Connor did this in Winnipeg Jets' season home opener.
Shoots and scores! Let those hats fly! It's a one-goal game.
Kyle Connor with a hat trick in the third period on TSN, but it couldn't make up for the lackluster play at the start of the game. The Jets lose to Dallas 5-4. Jets head coach Scott Arniel.
For 50 minutes, we weren't a very good hockey team. Our structure and our detail in all 3 areas wasn't very good, and it's too good of a hockey team to make those kind of mistakes.
Winnipeg now gets set to play the Kings tomorrow. You can find more Manitoba news at cbc.ca/Manitoba.
Heather, this half hour on the show, we're going to be talking about Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about table manners. And whether or not they still matter or what people do around their own family tables. So I don't know if you want to weigh in. Are you guys particularly mannered when you think about your big gatherings at any time? Are you guys, do you follow manners? Is it more casual? What's your house been like in your family?
What? So when I was a kid, my dad was very strict about table manners. With With my kids, I mean, I think we were okay as a family, but now that I have grandkids, I mean, they just eat with their hands. They wear their food. I mean, I don't know.
It's funny. I'm going to fully admit this, and maybe I shouldn't on the air, but I'm doing it. Someone else's family will be the same. I don't think I really learned about you don't eat until everybody has their plate until I was an adult.
Yeah.
Like in my family, it was like, food, yeah, like it was like we were eating. It was like an experience, and everyone was always grateful. And my mom would sit back and take such joy in everybody's stuff in their faces. But
yeah,
I mean, there were also times where like it was like pass a bun, and my uncle would throw it, and you'd catch it. Like I mean, so we're on another part of the scale.
That sounds like fun too, though.
It was. And it wasn't all the time throwing the buns, but well. Quite often. Let's roll the whole team in here. Corey's in studio. Abby is obviously in the control room. So, Corey, what do you got about manners?
In my family, especially the Ukrainian side, it is free for all, Royal Rumble, anything goes.
Royal Rumble.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, my mom kind of jokes that burping is Ukrainian for thank you. so that's how it usually goes for us at the family gathering. So yeah.
What was it like? It's like my husband's family was slightly different, right? So it was I think that when the families came together, like he noticed my family at the table,
Well,
like it was, and he also would say to me, "Everyone's done. Like you ate in 5 seconds after all that." So fast eaters.
For me,
too,
I noticed a difference when I would go to friends' houses, and all of a sudden we would just be eating. Then I'd like burp at the table, and then like everyone would like sit up, like they were like I have a friend who has like got like a proper like kind
Offended,
of like very they were all offended, like I was the worst person ever. Yeah.
Abby?
In my family, we say cheers to that when you burp.
Different, right?
We just say cheers. But that tradition my mom doesn't really encourage any of us to do is you stand in. Once the food is served, you can't move.
Oh.
No moving around.
Okay. She wants everyone together for the meal.
But people move around.
Yeah.
Like
We've lost Heather. We should have said goodbye to her, but we've lost her from the news. That's okay.
We move around a lot. The boys just want to go to one corner of the room or something. But she's like, you got to stay here.
Yeah. My mom also feels like my mom seems to have this thing over the years, where like she's offended if we're not taking more. That's a really big thing. Like it's like, please, like eat and eat more, and there must be leftovers. And that was different too. Like I would say in other places, I would go for dinner to friends' places, and they may not have leftovers. Like there's and there's nothing wrong with that. But in my house, like you always made enough for like 50 people, even if there were 10.
And the last person clears the table in my family.
Oh, so do you run off fast, Abby?
That's why I don't want to eat at that table. There's a lot of grease on that table I don't want to deal with.
Who wants to start here? Weather traffic.
Go for it, Abby.
All right, Abby.
Okay, it's going to be more like a bright one, gentle fall day, sunshine warming things up in the south, and we'll see cool temperatures up north, waking up to temperatures around, 8 degrees in southern Manitoba, Winnipeg at 8, the Pembina Valley seeing 5, Brandon is at 1, Dauphin at 4, Gimli 3 degrees, most of the region warming up to 16, 15 degrees today, while up north we're seeing 5 degrees, 3 degrees, and 7 degrees for the Powerful from Thompson and Churchill, which will only warm up to about 13 today. So it's more like a sunny day across board, 8 degrees right now in Winnipeg.
All right, Corey.
No major issues that I've heard of so far out there, but if you see something, if you're walking, biking, driving, you can give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number, 204-788-3093.
All right, Hallie Cottonham's here with our business report and news. Good morning.
Get your elbows off the table. This is not a horse's stable. Does that ring a bell?
No, not in my family at all. Was your family very like...
Yeah, I would say we were
that.
pretty heavy on the manners. And now that I'm in charge of my kids and we're going to my parents for Thanksgiving, it's like, okay, show them that we know how to do this, please.
I love that. Do you know that when I have things at my home, I always try, like I like to have like a pretty table with the flowers and the table. I like everyone sitting at it. Like I love that. It just doesn't half the time work out or whatever.
No.
But my family, though, like not getting that at all, just not made that way. So I want to come to your house.
I love that visual though of tossing buns around the table. I'm not going to say that never happens, but only when my mom is not in the room.
Well, we can catch, so it's good. It works out. All right, let's talk about the big news today. Letters and parcels will start moving again, as we've been hearing.
Yeah, the union representing Canada Post workers announced late last night that it's ending its nationwide strike. Instead, CUPW says it will switch to rotating strikes as of tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. That's Eastern. Now, the union says the fight isn't over, that it continues to fight for its 55,000 members, and it's still pressing the government to roll back on its plans to reduce mail service. Now, interestingly, Marcy, the Toronto Star reported just yesterday that members' support for the strike was fading, that some disagreed with the union's snap decision to walk off the job 2 weeks ago, and that many had wanted to keep working while negotiations were underway, obviously to keep a paycheck coming in. So we'll see today what happens, how the government responds.
Let's go to another story. Canada's largest private sector union is calling out what it's calling piecemeal, that's their word, trade negotiations. What's the concern?
Unifor is warning that picking and choosing sectors to make deals over could weaken Canada's bargaining position. CBC has been reporting that Canadian negotiators in Washington are trying to get deals on steel, aluminum, and energy. But Unifor's national president, Lana Payne, says that could leave auto and forestry workers out in the cold.
It's so critically important for us not to try to make quick deals on certain sectors and isolate other sectors. We are supposed to be all in this together. And this is what has me very worried, that we're going to use up a lot of leverage, and then we are left with sectors that don't have a deal. And what leverage will we have left at that point as a country to use in order to make sure that we get good deals for them?
Marcy, Unifor represents 320,000 workers across many industries, including 41,000 in the automotive sector, 24,000 in forestry. And on a related note, Stats Canada is going to release the September jobs numbers in about 45 minutes from now. This will be the Bank of Canada's last look at this key indicator before its next rate decision, October 29th.
Another story you have this morning is results of a fresh off the press Angus Reid poll. This is about how Canadians feel about a pipeline to the northwest BC coast.
Yeah, and the headline coming out of this poll is that a majority of Canadians who responded, or 59%, support the idea. And that includes residents of BC, where 56% said yes, compared to 33% who oppose it. I note that in Manitoba, 66% of people either support or strongly support the idea of a pipeline from northern Alberta to the northwest BC coast. Now, that opinion poll was taken just this week. I mean, the last respondents came in yesterday, of more than 1,600 adults who are part of the Angus Reid Forum. That's an online community of people who voice their opinions on a variety of topics from time to time. But if you dig a little deeper into the poll, it gets more nuanced. A majority of British Columbians, or 52%, think the province or a province or any province should have a veto right over a pipeline unless certain conditions are met. Quebecers feel even stronger about that at 57%. But if I'm going to be honest, the biggest takeaway from this poll is that a majority, or 57% of Canadians who responded, now prioritize economic growth over the environment. And when Angus Reid asked that same question back in 2016 and in 2021, a majority said they would prioritize the environment. So there's been a flip.
That's something to lean into for sure and try to understand. Finally, it's Friday, so you have a story that's about Degrassi, Degrassi alum, and a setback actually between that and worldwide superstar rapper Drake.
Yeah, this is about that heated and, I would say, lucrative rivalry between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. A U.S. federal judge has tossed out Drake's defamation lawsuit against Universal Music Group. The suit alleged the label published and promoted Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us, that it tarnished Drake's reputation, that it decreased the value of his brand. You'll recall, Marcy, that Super Bowl halftime show, which drew 133.5 million viewers.
I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a, ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
So Drake's lawyers argued that song included false pedophilia allegations against Drake that led to violence at his home in Toronto. But yesterday, the judge rejected all the lawsuit and labeled the alleged libelous words as opinion.
All right, Hallie, thank you for the update and happy Thanksgiving.
To you as well, Marcy.
That's Hallie Cottenham with our business news. Well, let's keep this rolling, this conversation we started with before the business news about etiquette and manners at the Thanksgiving table. CBC's Blair Sanderson went out to talk to different people about how their families observe traditional customs or not.
Hello.
Hi.
How important are table manners in your view?
Extremely important. Very important. It displays consideration for the people that you're dining with.
Main ones for me growing up: sit up straight at the table. Wait until everyone who is coming to the table is present.
But we've got hungry bellies and young kids, so for us, I think it's something we try and do, but maybe not something we're perfect at.
Are you allowed to eat before your parents sit down if the food's right in front of you?
Sometimes, like, if they're still making like their food, like sometimes we'll eat different things than they will, so they'll tell us to eat it before it gets cold.
I don't think we need to act like we're eating with the queen, but I think basic manners should be at the table.
Don't reach across the table, don't grab.
Yes, my dad was very bad he'd point at something and just kind of expect it to be passed to him.
Use your words then.
Use your words is an important thing. Also, please and thank you. That was a big thing in our household.
No elbows on the table.
No?
No. I don't follow it, but I've heard it's a rule.
I feel like that one you would probably be reminded not to have your elbows on the table.
Apparently in between courses it's okay to have your elbows on the table.
Really?
It's only when food is on the table.
Huh.
You know, between all of the different courses you're having during your meals.
We weren't that fancy. All the dishes on the table at once.
And so what do you think it means, though? Are these antiquated rules? You know, does it matter anymore? Or do you think there is value in still thinking about them to some degree?
I think there is value. It just shows some consideration.
That's kind of a rough question because I think sometimes people think table manners, they forget why they're all together in the first place, be it friends and family. And table manners is sort of a side thing for me anyways.
It has no relationship at all to the character of the person. That person may have grown up in the same environment that I did, where everybody got around the table and we were family and enjoyed each other's company. You don't think of those things unless you're in an environment where they're expected. And so I think it's wrong to judge somebody.
Normally, I'm from the southern part of India. We don't normally use tables. Like, we just sit up straight in a lotus position when we're eating. It's kind of old traditional method way of eating.
So table manners didn't really apply if you didn't have a table.
Yeah, true. But I still expect you not to talk when you're chewing your food.
And there should be a box for those phones.
Cell phones and iPads.
Yeah, I think the most common courtesy at mealtime today is with digital devices. So, be present in the meal, and it's less about whether your elbows are on the table or a reach, or it's be present at mealtime and interact with your kids and family at that time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, of course.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
All right, this is a talker, clearly. So, do table manners matter at your Thanksgiving table? Why or why not? How do you view all of this? You can always weigh in on Facebook, Marcy Marcusa Online, but we'd love it if you call us, 204-788-3205, 204-788-3205.
I'm Suresh Das. I've spent my career writing about the local favorites that make Canada's food scene truly unique. I bit into a chili. Woo! From vibrant street food to comforting traditional dishes.
The most important ingredients in jollof rice, love.
To innovative, personal twists. Butter chicken lasagna.
Butter chicken lasagna. That's what made it all happen.
I believe every bite tells a story. Now, I want to share those stories with you.
New series Locals Welcome with Suresh Das. Watch free on CBC Gem.
Every time we play that on the morning show, I want butter chicken lasagna. Clear, 8 degrees. Our high today is 16 degrees. And through the weekend, mixed bag in Winnipeg, that is. Saturday, sunshine in the morning tomorrow. And then a 30% chance of showers late in the day and really windy. On Sunday, showers. Like, it doesn't say a chance of showers. It just says showers. So we are going to have a wet Thanksgiving on Sunday, and I guess technically Thanksgiving Day is Monday. So Monday's going to be cloudy and a high of 8. So what happens after showers and 18 degrees is a lot cooler weather on the backside. Well, next on the show, it starts with a simple social media ad, a promise of winnings in crypto investments that could cost you all of your savings. It's the beginning of a spiral that has ruined thousands of Canadians' lives, swindled by a network of shadowy fraudsters abroad. CBC's Marketplace, though, found them, thanks to an incredible data leak. Frédéric Zalac is an investigative reporter with Radio-Canada's Etiquette and host of CBC Marketplace and was part of an international team that cracked this case and is with us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Marcy.
So how does this scam work?
Well, if you use social media, you surely have been exposed to this. These are the ads that look like media reports from CBC, CTV, the Globe and Mail. They always feature celebrities. We see often Kevin O'Leary, Elon Musk, and more recently, deep fake videos of Prime Minister Mark Carney, all promoting crypto investment techniques that supposedly use artificial intelligence to make trades. But of course, it's completely bogus. Victims log on to what seems like a legit trading platform. But in reality, the scammers are manipulating all the charts to give the illusion that the victims are making good returns. And when the victims try to withdraw their funds, they can never get their money back. Thousands of Canadians fall into this trap, and normally we never really know who's behind these scams, Marcy.
You, though, got access to quite a leak, as we alluded to, that reveals for the first time the inner workings of one of these fraud factories. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary data leak that comes from inside one of these call centers, this one based in Tbilisi, Georgia. It was obtained by Swedish Public Television, which shared that with us and some media outlets in Europe. It contains 1 million phone calls recorded by the fraudsters themselves, as we say, for quality control and training. Just as large corporations do, the fraudsters do the same thing. The leak also includes 20,000 video recordings of the scammers' computer screens. So you can see their mouse move on the screen. You could see them calling up victims, writing notes in the victims' files. I saw a video where you could see the scammer forging documents from the CRA. It's really stunning. When I was watching those recordings, it really felt like I was sitting at the fraudster's workstation and spying on them. In just a few years, this call center stole $50 million from more than 6,000 victims, and Canada is their second biggest target.
So fascinating that you were watching that. You also tracked down some of the Canadian victims of the call center. How did the scam you're talking about impact their lives?
Devastating impact. Some lost their life savings. Several had suicidal thoughts. One of the most heartbreaking cases that I found in the leak was Marcel Deschamps. He's a former factory foreman from Alexandria, Ontario. That's a small community about 100 kilometers from Ottawa. Marcel had lost over $160,000 in these type of scams when one of the Georgian scammer, calling herself Mary Roberts, called him. She promised she could help him recover his funds. She was very convincing. It was devastating for him.
It did hurt me a lot, and I'm still hurting. Or I had dark moments at one point, really dark moments. My life is totally different now, totally. I lost a lot of trust in people, faith in people. That woman is heartless.
And when Marcel realized that she was also scamming him, he confronted her in a chilling call that I found in the leak. Here's an excerpt.
So I want my money right now.
You will never see it in your entire life again. I can
scam
scam whoever I want. It's not your business. Your life is ruined.
Tell you what, I'll give it to the cops. They can reach Interpol. And they still have your picture on the internet, right?
Even if you're gonna call the police of Canada, police of Ontario, and the police of the entire world, you will never find my real passport.
I have goosebumps right now. Like, it's just hearing that is so disturbing. It's so cruel.
That laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cruel. The scammer, though, clearly doesn't think she will ever get caught.
And she's got good reasons to believe that, because most of them have nothing to worry about. They operate overseas from countries where corruption is endemic and collaboration with Western police forces is often limited. But with the help of journalists in Georgia, we uncovered her real identity. Her name is Mariam Charchian. She's 27 years old. We found her Facebook page with pictures of luxury travel to Greece, Milan, Paris, Dubai. She's living the really nice life, shopping at high-end luxury stores, posting all that on Instagram. And for the record, we did find her real passport. She actually posted a picture of it on her Instagram account. And because of our reporting, local authorities say they have started an investigation of this call center,
and it's been a little while now, and no arrests have been made. And apparently, the scammers unfortunately resumed their operations after a brief pause.
Oh, I feel all good. I'm clapping for you this morning for your journalism. What is Canada doing to stop this? Let's look at the big picture before you go.
Well, if we can't reach them over there, Canada could at least pressure social media companies to make efforts to block those fraudulent ads from ever reaching Canadians. We went to Ottawa in the foyer of the House of Commons. I showed a deep fake video of Prime Minister Carney to Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasangari.
First of all, this is outrageous. The use of fake images and fake narratives. We've had a number of attempts in holding our tech companies to account. We have not been quite successful. As you're aware, it's quite a complicated and oftentimes an issue where we've had a lot of pushback. So it is imperative that tech companies play ball.
Marcy, it seems that Australia got big tech to play ball. Just this year, Australia passed a law forcing banks, telecoms, and social media platforms to make sufficient efforts to prevent this kind of fraud or face up to $50 million fines. Both Meta and Google say they try to stop these ads, but they say the scammers are getting better at circumventing their systems. These systems clearly aren't working. Just last week, I was viewing on YouTube a Radio Canada story from one of my colleagues about these very scams. The video was interrupted by an ad. It was one of those Mark Carney deepfakes pushing crypto on our own stories denouncing them. Can you believe that?
Wow. Thank you very much for this, Frederic. I appreciate having you on this morning.
You're welcome.
So with us this morning on Information Radio, that was Frederic, and I apologize because they didn't put the last name here, and now I have to look for it. Radio Canada's investigative reporter, Frederic Zalak. So he's part of the team that worked on this marketplace investigation. You can check it out, Fraud Factory, tonight at 8 o'clock. Let's go to Heather Wells now for our headlines.
A Winnipeg mother says her daughter was beaten up by 5 girls inside a washroom at Oak Park High School last week. CBC News isn't naming the mother to protect her daughter's identity, but the mother says her daughter told her the girls accused her of saying negative things, which she denied, and she also alleges the girls made fun of her daughter's Ukrainian accent. We'll hear more about that. And it has been nearly a year since the province and Manitoba RCMP announced a special unit to target major crimes in the Swan Valley region. But the promised general investigation section has yet to have a single officer. More Manitoba news coming up at 7:30.
Traffic's fine. Winnipeg's clear, 8 degrees, high 16, lots of sunshine in the next hour of Information Radio. We're going to dig into Winnipeg's nightlife a little more. Earlier this week, we heard from some people that they say it could be improved. They wonder why when events happen downtown, it seems to be bustling and accessible. And then what about the rest of the year? Are we turning into a boring city? We're going to take you to Ottawa. They have a nightlife mayor and a really targeted action to try to improve their nightlife. And we're going to tee up the latest season at the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre and at the Warehouse. The artistic director will be in studio. Stay with us.
Today on The Current.
People have to remember that we are the owner of the resource on behalf of the people of Alberta.
The Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, wants a pipeline from her province to the British Columbia coast. BC's Premier, David Eby, is not on side. Will this idea of a Canadian pipeline become reality? We'll hear from all sides coming up on The Current.
The Current with Matt Galloway. This morning at 8:37, 9:07 in Newfoundland, and on the CBC Listen app.
Is World Report. Good morning. I'm Angie Seth. Israel's military says its troops have withdrawn to the positions agreed upon under the newly signed peace plan. Hamas now has 72 hours to return the hostages. With a ceasefire now in effect in Gaza, thousands of Palestinians are starting to return north, and a significant humanitarian operation can begin. Crystal Gomansing has more from Jerusalem.
We will scale up the provision of food across Gaza to reach 2.1 million people who need food aid.
Tom Fletcher, the UN's emergency relief coordinator, says the goal for the first 60 days of the ceasefire is to have hundreds of trucks moving into Gaza daily. Aid access is included in the comprehensive end of Gaza war plan. Text of the deal, brokered by the U.S., Qatar and Egypt, was made public last night after the Israeli government ratified it.
We're at a momentous development in the last 2 years.
We fought during these 2 years to achieve our war aims.
Text of the peace plan says Israeli forces are to pull back to agreed lines and not return as long as Hamas adheres to the agreement. An Israeli spokesperson says the IDF will still control 53% of the Gaza Strip. A multinational force, including military personnel from Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, and the U.S., will oversee the plan. Roughly 200 U.S. troops are being deployed to support the agreement. It's unclear where they'll be stationed, but part of their assignment will be to create a joint civilian-military command center. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, Jerusalem.
And as one war draws towards an end, another continues. Explosions in Kyiv as Russia carries out a major overnight attack on the Ukrainian capital. President Volodymyr Zelensky says it was part of a large-scale assault across the country. He says Russia used 450 drones and 30 missiles in attacks targeting the energy sector. There are reported power outages across 9 regions, and officials say 2 million people in Kyiv are now without water. In the southeastern city of Zaporizhia, there are reports a 7-year-old boy was killed. India is reopening its embassy in Afghanistan. It was shuttered 4 years ago after the Taliban seized control of the country. The announcement comes as Afghanistan's interim foreign minister is on a groundbreaking trip to India. New Delhi does not recognize the Taliban, but in recent months, India has been moving towards more engagement with the regime. CBC's South Asia correspondent Salima Shivji has that story.
To our two great countries.
A day after a high-profile visit to Mumbai from UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, emphasizing a recently signed UK-India trade deal, a different type of diplomatic visit is on in New Delhi.
Very, very warm welcome.
Amir Khan Muttaqi, who's serving as the Taliban's foreign minister in Afghanistan, meeting with his Indian counterpart. It comes just days after Muttaqi was greeted warmly by Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, in Moscow. Russia is the only country that has officially recognized the Taliban government, which seized power in 2021 after U.S. forces withdrew and Kabul fell. Muttaqi, like other members of the Taliban administration, is under sanctions that include a travel ban. He had to get special permission from the United Nations Security Council to even make the visit. And while India has not recognized the Taliban, its foreign ministry's spokesperson Randir Jaiswal acknowledged one thing.
Yes, he's the foreign minister of Afghanistan.
Not an interim one, the term most countries that don't recognize the Taliban use when describing the repressive regime's top officials.
India is simply acknowledging the reality on the ground.
A cautious and strategic step towards normalizing relations, says Harsh Pant, who's with the Delhi-based think tank Observer Research Foundation. The Taliban is searching for more legitimacy, and New Delhi wants to block China from making further inroads into Afghanistan, Pant says.
I don't think that engagement necessarily means endorsement from India's position.
Muttaqi will be in India for a week. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Mumbai.
Another political foe of Donald Trump's is facing federal prosecution. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted on fraud charges. James successfully prosecuted Trump back in 2023 for falsifying records to secure better loan deals for his companies. In a statement on social media, James calls the charges against her baseless and accuses Trump of seeking retribution.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General.
James is indicted on mortgage fraud charges in connection with a home purchase in 2020. Earlier this week, former FBI Director James Comey pleaded not guilty on charges he lied to Congress. Back here at home, mail will soon start moving across the country again. Canada Post employees are switching to rotating strikes starting Saturday morning. Negotiations between the union and Canada Post will continue to negotiate a collective agreement. Employees began a nationwide strike last month, just hours after the federal government announced plans to overhaul operations. It is not clear yet how long it will take before Canadians will begin to see letters in their mailboxes. The BC government is facing calls to investigate a decades-old data breach at the province's Interior Health Authority. It involved thousands of healthcare workers. CBC's Fifth Estate investigation into the incident reveals senior officials have been warned about it for years. but failed to act to protect their workers. Fifth Estate co-host Mark Kelly has more.
Yeah, my neighbor right down there, she found out that she was the victim of identity theft.
Ashley Stone drives through her Kelowna neighborhood, revealing the scope of a data breach that's left a trail of victims like her.
It's not that we all live in the same neighborhood, it's just that there's so many of us.
Stone's personal information was used to take out credit cards in her name back in 2014. She warned her employer, BC's Interior Health Authority, about a possible data breach, but was met with denials. Her colleague, Tracy Maxfield, warned her colleagues with an email.
I was actually reprimanded for sending the email because it was not my business to do that.
Who reprimanded? You're reprimanded by someone?
By management.
Interior Health says there is no evidence of a mass breach, no evidence their personal information is for sale on the dark web. The identity thefts continue to this day. Then an anonymous source sent the Fifth Estate a list of 28,000 people who all appear to be Interior Health employees. Names, social insurance numbers, addresses. A list he said he bought through the dark web. Anne Kavukian, former Ontario Privacy Commissioner, says the BC government needs to launch an investigation.
This is why you have to go to the Minister of Health and the Premier. You need someone to say to them, you have to be truthful about this. We have to discontinue this activity of covering up.
We contacted the BC Minister of Health, Josie Osborne, who refused to comment on the breach, citing an ongoing RCMP investigation. Mark Kelly, CBC News, Kelowna.
And finally, the Nobel Committee says this year's Peace Prize is about keeping the flame of democracy burning. The winner is Maria Corina Machado, a woman whose activism is so dangerous she's had to go into hiding. Anna Cunningham has more on her work.
Oh my God. Well, I have no words.
Maria Corina Machado is a Venezuelan opposition leader who some describe as a fearless activist with rock star appeal.
Thank you so much, but I hope you understand this is a movement. This is a achievement of a whole society. I am just one person.
She was banned from running against Nicolás Maduro in last year's presidential elections. So instead, she rallied large crowds in Caracas for the little-known opposition candidate who replaced her. She was often seen dressed in white with rosary beads around her neck, gifts from her fans.
She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela.
Chair of the Norwegian Nobel Committee, Jørgen Watne Fridnes, lauded her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy.
One of the most extraordinary examples of civilian courage in Latin America in recent times.
This is arguably the world's most prestigious prize, one which US President Donald Trump has made no secret he wants to win.
If it were somebody else, they would have gotten 5 Nobel Prizes. I never even got a mention.
Nobel experts say Trump is unlikely to ever win, as his policies are seen as dismantling the international world order, something the Nobel Committee cherishes. Anna Cunningham, CBC News, London.
And that's the latest national and international news from World Report. For news anytime, go to cbcnews.ca. I'm Angie Seth. This is CBC News.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is Friday. I'm Marcy Marcusa. Thanks for joining us ahead of Thanksgiving long weekend. You're on 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and YouTube. It's 8 degrees. We'll see if we're any higher than that right now. Update those temps in a moment. This hour on the show, quite a story. A Winnipeg mom says her 14-year-old daughter was assaulted by 5 other girls at Oak Park High School. We're going to hear the story about what happened and why she says bullying is getting out of hand. She wants more action from the school as well. And police have been involved here in this story. So we're going to talk more about that. We'll hear from her. In fact, I just spoke with her at 7. Also this hour, we've been talking this week about whether or not Winnipeg is, well, boring when it comes to nightlife. So we're doing a bit of a series on this. How can we improve nightlife downtown? Some of you say it could use some work. How do we get there? We're going to talk to a man dubbed the nightlife mayor in Ottawa about what they've been doing there. And we'll tee up the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre in the Warehouse new season. The artistic director is going to join us on the show. Right now, let's go to Heather Wells. She has updates on other stories. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning. Well, the leader of the opposition has some concerns about a proposed site for Manitoba's first methamphetamine detox centre. Premier Wab Kinew says he wants a 20-bed facility set up at 190 Disraeli. PC leader Robbie Kahn says he's not sure about detaining people in the heart of Winnipeg's inner city. A semi-trailer was caught on video rolling into a Winnipeg street without a driver. The incident was posted on social media on Wednesday. The video shows the truck sliding onto Oak Point Highway, stopping traffic before a man runs to open the door. We're going to hear from some people in that area coming up in our next local news at 7:30.
All right, thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Let's get into the weather forecast. Abby, what do we know?
Yeah, across the province, Marcy, we're looking at a bright fall day. We're going to see sunshine from end to end. Mild down south, and it's going to be cooler in the northern part of the province. We're seeing 0 at the airport at this time, 1 in Brandon, and we're looking at -1 in Brandon, and we're looking at 1 degree in Thompson at this time. But for Winnipeg, we're hovering between 0 at the airport and 7 at the Forks. Lots of sunshine in the forecast today, warming up to about 16 degrees with some calm winds, and we cool off to about 3 degrees tonight, and then tomorrow warms to about 18 degrees. Across the south, as mentioned, 7 in the Red River Valley region, 5 in the Pembina Valley region, -1 in the Westman region, and 4 and 2 in the Parkland and Interlake region. Up north, we're seeing temperatures between 1 and 6 degrees, but we do see temperatures climb to around 16 in most of the regions today. Once again, Winnipeg, we are at 7 degrees.
All right, thanks very much, Abby. Corey Funk has popped in here to tell us about the commute.
And so far, it's actually been very smooth so far. Haven't heard of any major issues out there. But if you are walking, biking, driving, you see something going on, you can give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number, 204-788-3093.
Time right now is 7:13, and as I alluded to up first this half hour, for some night owls, events like Nuit Blanche that we had a few weeks ago are a taste of what Winnipeg's nightlife could be like, maybe on any given weekend. That is, if there were more to do in our city after hours. Some of you had a lot to say about this. So CBC's Jenna Badosso, in case you missed this, recently went out to talk to some University of Manitoba students on campus about what they think is needed to improve Winnipeg's nightlife.
My name is Poppy Debates.
So tell me what you think about the nightlife in Winnipeg.
I just turned 18 this summer, so I think so far it's been pretty fun. I've only been to a few clubs and bars like Cowboys and King's Head.
What do you think about overall what there is to do for fun, I guess, on a Saturday night downtown?
I think it depends where you go and what season it is as well. In the summer, it's definitely a bit more busy. But in the winter, there's not as many things to do, definitely with our climate.
My name is Hussein Shukur.
Tell me, what do you think about the Winnipeg nightlife?
It's quite limited, but it has its benefits. There are fun things to do here and there, especially during the summer. There are a couple of clubs, there are events that happen downtown here and there, but there isn't a lot that happens usually, especially when it comes to winter.
My name is Faisal Mustafa. To make the nightlife better, I think the ongoing crime rates that's happening in Winnipeg, I think if we have a bit of a control on that, I think that would make it seem better.
Hi, my name is Victoria Romero. I know there's a big focus with our city government and the provincial government for funding different arts and cultural festivals, but I'd love to see that expanded into more kinds of general nightlife and supporting music, whether that be live music or live DJing, things like that. It should be valued as those same kind of art forms as folk fest. So more investment into the arts, I think.
Jenna Badosso out on obviously a very windy day, talking to students over at University of Manitoba campus about our nightlife, or how it can be improved, lack of it. Winnipeg's not the only city that's been trying to improve the night scene. Mathieu Condon is hired as Ottawa's first nightlife commissioner. Since last summer, he's been working alongside a nightlife council to develop Ottawa's nightlife economy and social scene. And this morning, I was checking out some of the things that they've been doing. They've got this really cool website called Ottawa at Night and all kinds of things in the works. He joins us now via Zoom. Good morning.
Good morning, Marcy.
So tell me a little bit about what your reaction was to hearing, students talk about our nightlife or lack of it in Winnipeg.
Well, some very good suggestions there. I've never been myself to Winnipeg, but I think it's pretty comparable to a lot of what you would hear in a lot of different Canadian cities. Historically, we're grappled with urban sprawl. Our downtowns were mostly business districts, so people would not live there. So it's tough to compare Canadian nightlife with, for instance, European nightlife, where cities are much more dense, and you just get out of your home and there's things happening. And I think Canada in general, there's a lot of stuff going on, but you kind of need to know where is going on. And also, one very good point is like summer versus winter. We also need to grapple with that. So yeah.
So it sounds like some of the things you heard from here were echoed in Ottawa. Tell me what a nightlife commissioner does exactly.
Nightlife commissioner, that's the term the title I have here in Ottawa. Elsewhere in the world, you might have a director of the nightlife office, a night czar in London. This comes from the night mayor movement. So there's around 40 cities around the world right now that have appointed positions like this inside city administration. And my mandate is to implement the Nightlife Economy Action Plan. There were 10 recommendations that were voted unanimously by City Council in May 2023. So I'm implementing these 10 recommendations, and I act as a liaison between all the external partners to the city. So the business owners, the festival programmers, restaurant owners, venue bookers, everyone that's involved in nightlife, and the different city services of the city. So inside city administration. So I'm kind of like their internal advocate, if you want.
Tell me a little bit about this website I'm on, which is so cool. And I also love just visually, it looks like night. It's black background, and then all the fonts are kind of cool, and you got all these
Doesn't look
photos.
like a city website.
I wasn't going to say it, but hey, if people are calling our cities boring, we better fix it. What's the purpose of this site, and what can people do if they navigate it?
Well, one part of the website is public facing. So, we made a directory of all nightlife businesses that program culture within the city. So there's over 100 businesses there. So it can be a restaurant, the bar, or a venue, but you just need to be programming a little bit of culture to be there. Because we have to draw the line somewhere, because there's there's over 4,000 nightlife businesses in Ottawa. So I really wanted to do like this first iteration of the website, I wanted to focus on culture. So it's good for visitors. It's good for locals. If you're looking for what to do, you can search the different venues by different musical genres, types of show you're looking for. And there's a second part of the website that's more business facing. So that gives you information related to licensing, permitting, safety tips for your nightlife staff, for instance. We're going to be rolling out safety workshops for nightlife staff, so they can learn about how to deal with difficult situations or over intoxications or harassment in the workplace, etc., etc. So it's really a website that's got these two sides: one for the visitors, the residents, and one for the businesses.
What have you learned about developing a bustling night scene in your first year as nightlife commissioner? Like, what has worked that you hold up as your greatest success, and how do you measure it?
Well, I think the greatest success we had this summer is called Metcalfe Plaza. So it's a placemaking pilot we did for 6 weeks. There was an abandoned lot in the middle of downtown here in Ottawa, and we decided to partner with different local organizations and the BIA and turn it into an outdoor venue, a pop-up venue. So for 6 weekends, on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, we would program DJs and music. So different types of musical genres and different communities and scenes. So one night would be Afro House, and the second night would be Latin, and the third night might be a special pop-up for Pride Weekend with the LGBTQ community. So this had a huge success. It was at capacity. It's 500 people, and it was at capacity almost every night. So, but I think, the way forward is governments and cities. I'm going to echo a little bit what one of your listeners said earlier. they must get involved in more popular forms of art and treat them as equal as others. So, for instance, with DJs, this is what we did. We invested in we bought some capital assets, a container, picnic tables, and we relied on local groups, organizations to book the DJs and make this, vibrant at night. Historically, governments have invested in symphonic orchestras and theaters. But we tend to see more popular genres of music as something that's more like entertainment and not as high art. So that's something we should do a little bit more.
I go to the theater myself as well, but I also go to see a cover band at Times Changed on the weekend, for example, right? Let's address some of the things that you mentioned here. So the cold. How do you deal with the weather issues in Ottawa?
Well, you need a strategy. You need to make people go out. I'm from Montreal originally. There's a great festival in Montreal called Igloo Fest. It's a big electronic dance music festival. There's 10,000 people that come to dance, even though it's -30 outside. So you can do it. You just need to program a little bit more creatively and give good reasons for people to go out, because this is what we're fighting against. We're fighting against Netflix. People would just want to stay home and sit on their couch and watch TV, and it's even worse when it's cold outside. So we need to really give them good incentives to get out.
And what about, you talked about safety plans and training and such and things that can come with nightlife, but university students also talked about crime, lack of transit, as some of the shortcomings. Have you had to address or found ways to address maybe those issues in Ottawa, if those resonate there?
Well, these are huge structural issues that most Canadian cities deal with. Public transit thrives when there's urban density, and this is something we don't really have enough of in Canadian cities. And crime and homelessness and open drug use problems that this came back in full effect after COVID. So most Canadian cities have to deal with that. Myself, I'm what I say is a safe night is a busy night. So we need to animate it. We need to program it. This is the tools I have to try and have an impact on this. But we have 3 levels of governments trying to juggle with these problems, and multiple agencies. And you can't ask a nightlife commissioner to fix all these issues. But I think, one way I can act is, to program the public space. So, for instance, Metcalfe Plaza, that was an empty lot. That night you didn't feel really safe because there was nobody there. And then all of a sudden, 3 nights a week, you have 500 people partying. So it brings a lot of eyes on the street.
And just last, I guess, you've talked about involving businesses. You've talked about government involvement as well. So some of this is, going to involve funding, but also partnerships. How important is that? Because some people might even want incentives from the businesses to come downtown at night, for example.
Well, I think the cities should try and get play an active role in that. And, part of my job is to, make the connections between the different funding partners at the different levels of government. So with other agencies, like, for instance, our tourism development organization, like Ottawa Tourism here. They sometimes have we have a destination development fund. So that's a source of funding that can help. This is the challenge, and it always is finding the money. But I've been lucky enough to have the support of the city council here in Ottawa and of the mayor. So, I have a little bit of budget to kickstart these new projects. I'm not there to fund these activities on a yearly basis, but if you come to me with a new project, I can help you. I can mentor you. I can help you, bring the proposal, get it together, and find funding partners for it.
So much here for us to build on here in Winnipeg. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope I have a colleague from Winnipeg soon enough.
I'm going to ask if I can come there for a trip to check out your nightlife. I don't think it'll happen, but I might have to. I'll do it on my own time. Thank you very much, Mathieu.
Okay, bye-bye.
Via Zoom, live with us, Mathieu Grandon, with us this morning as we continue our series about how to make our nightlife in Winnipeg more bustling and get more people downtown. He is Ottawa's nightlife commissioner. It is right now 7:25 a.m. on 89.3 FM, 990 a.m. on that app and YouTube. You're listening to Information Radio here on CBC, and the day looks like a high of 16 degrees with lots of sunshine. And this morning, if you're heading out and about, it is clear in Winnipeg. It's 7 degrees downtown. However, it is only 0 at the Forks. It's time for morning sports. Claude Fake is in for Scott Reguer this morning. Hi, Claude.
Good morning, Marcy.
So another off day for the Blue Jays and more time to ponder their ALCS roster, right?
Indeed, Marcy, it's another day off or perhaps a hangover recovery day for the Blue Jays as they await their opponent of the American League Championship Series, which begins in Toronto on Sunday night. Now, either the Detroit Tigers or Seattle Mariners will punch their ticket to Rogers Center. They're playing in their fifth and deciding game of their ALDS tonight in the Pacific Northwest. So the Jays have gotten this far without their RBI and batting leader, Bo Bichette, who injured his left knee just over a month ago. But Bichette is inching closer to a return, and that's according to his manager, John Schneider.
The last 3 days have been pretty positive for him. He hit in our little sim game back in Toronto against Max and Chris. We'll take it a day at a time, and just listen to how he's feeling. I think he's probably turned the corner a little bit in terms of making some steady progress. It wasn't just kind of hitting in the cage. It was facing some live pitching. So I think he's making some strides, and we'll continue to take it a day at a time.
Now, along with Bichette, pitchers Chris Bassett and Max Scherzer, as well as first baseman Ty France, may all be available for the ALCS. So for Schneider, the biggest question is going to be, who is he going to drop off his current roster to try and make room for those players?
Let's talk about the Jets misfiring in their home opener last night.
Yeah, Marcy, the home opener for the Jets last night at Canada Life Center wasn't one to write home about, or text for that matter. Jets dug a 5-1 hole against the visiting Dallas Stars and lost 5-4, but there were some positives. Their new $96 million man, Kyle Connor, lit the lamp 3 times, and Winnipeg native Jonathan Toews made his long-awaited return to the NHL, playing just over 18 minutes with a shot on goal and a takeaway. And Toews' takeaway for his first game as a Jet?
Just a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, just trying to contain myself a little bit there. Once you kind of get your legs under you, just go out there and play. So as the game went along, just trying not to think about it too much and just enjoyed it. And, you enjoy it when you play your best, so just try and find a way to do that.
Now, the Jets get another shot for their first home win of the season, first win period, tomorrow night when they host the Los Angeles Kings.
And finally, the Blue Bombers are still eyeing a home playoff date in the postseason.
Yeah, Marcy, big game for the Blue Bombers tomorrow night when they face the Elks in Edmonton. And while the Elks are battling for their playoff lives tonight, the Bombers, who are currently tied with the Stampeders at 8-7 in the CFL's West Division, are still eyeing second place, just 2 points back of BC, which would mean hosting a playoff game. Now, running back and Winnipeg native Brady Oliveira just happy to have his team in the mix, vying for the postseason.
It's been interesting this year. Looks like it's going to come down to the wire in the West Division. It's been great finishing first here the last number of years. For me, I could care less where we finish or who we're playing or where we're playing. I'm going to bring my best football on that day, and I expect that from my teammates as well. So for me, wherever we finish, just know you're going to get my best and you're going to get my teammates' best, and we're going to go out there and battle.
And tomorrow's kickoff from Edmonton goes just after 6 p.m. local time.
All right, we just need a chance. Thanks, Claude. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Cross your fingers.
Right? Take care.
All right, Marcy, have a great weekend.
You as well. That is Claude Fake in for Scott Reguer with Sports on CBC. Well, as mentioned, we're heading for a nice sunny day in Winnipeg. Traffic's been pretty quiet this morning, but if you need to update the commute for any reason, anywhere in Manitoba, not just Winnipeg, could be the highways or your city, please let us know if there's something major we should be reporting here. 788-3093 is where you can reach us. Coming up, the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre's new season kicks off this month with Wonderful Joe and Life of Pi. We're going to hear what else is coming to the main stage in Warehouse right after your CBC Winnipeg News.
This is CBC News. Good morning. I'm Heather Wells in Winnipeg at 7:30 at 7 degrees. Just a glorious Friday as we move into the Thanksgiving weekend. Sunny today and warmer than seasonal with a high of 16. A Winnipeg mother says her daughter was beaten up by 5 girls inside a washroom at Oak Park High School last week. CBC News isn't naming the mother to protect her daughter's identity. The mother says her daughter told her the girls accused her of saying negative things about them, which she denied. She alleges the girls then made fun of her daughter's Ukrainian accent before knocking her head onto a counter, pushing her to the floor and kicking her. She says she got a call from a teacher about the incident.
I was shocked. Do you know that I live all my life behind because it was war in Ukraine and emergency immigrated in Canada to keep my daughter safe. It wasn't easy. And now I'm not sure that school place is safe for her.
Oak Park High School and the Pembina Trail School Division won't say if any of the students have been disciplined. In a letter, the school told parents the safety and well-being of students is their top priority and add the situation is being fully addressed. Winnipeg police say they arrested 2 people on Monday. You can hear more on this story coming up in this next half hour right here on Information Radio. The leader of the opposition has some concerns about the proposed site of Manitoba's first methamphetamine detox centre. Premier Wapkanu says he wants a 20-bed facility set up at 190 Disraeli. PC leader Abi Khan says he supports the idea of extending the time people can be held in detox from 24 hours to 72, but he isn't sure about detaining them in the heart of Winnipeg's inner city.
If they're released on the street right beside or in the vicinity of an area where it is well known and rampant to be drug consumption happening, what's going to happen to that area? More drug dealers may come in that area. Maybe gangs may come to there to traffic, to sell to the people that are now being released from the protective care units.
190 Disraeli is in the same building where a supervised consumption site had been proposed last year before the province changed its mind. A semi-trailer was caught on video rolling into a Winnipeg street without a driver. The incident was posted on social media on Wednesday, the video showing the truck sliding on Oak Point Highway, stopping traffic before a man runs to open the door. Daryl Budge is the general manager of an area business.
I was alarmed. It's obviously a very dangerous situation to see happen and unfold. There's an element of concern when it comes to, the driver's safety and driver's training.
The Canadian transport company operating the semi is investigating but won't comment on how that truck ended up on the road. It has been nearly a year since the province and Manitoba RCMP announced a special unit to target major crimes in the Swan Valley region. But the promised General Investigation Section has yet to have a single officer. Of the 22 positions in the Swan River Detachment, 10 are vacant. RCMP say they need to hire more people before they can fill that new unit. Local business owners say the police shortages are hurting the community. Raina Badowski runs the Swan School of Dance and says she has to call police almost weekly and worries about her family.
It's pretty scary knowing that, if something happened and we called the cops in the middle of the night, chances are nobody's coming for a while.
RCMP say 3 new members will join the Swan River Detachment in November, and the General Investigation Unit is expected to be staffed next year. Israel's military says the Gaza ceasefire is now in effect. Troops are beginning to withdraw, and once they reach the agreed position, Hamas has 72 hours to return the hostages, and significant humanitarian aid operation is also about to begin. For months, U.S. President Donald Trump has been hinting he wants the Nobel Peace Prize. Now that a peace deal has been reached in Gaza, at least the first phase of one, some Israelis and Palestinians agree he deserves it. But with the agreement coming months after the deadline for this year's nomination, here is who the Nobel Committee is honoring.
The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to Maria Corina Machado, the leader of the democratic forces in Venezuela.
The Venezuelan opposition leader is known as the Iron Lady. You can hear more national and international news coming up on World Report at 8. Well, hats were flying at last night's Winnipeg Jets season home opener. Kyle Connor on TSN, and that's how it would end. The Jets lose by that one elusive goal, 5-4, the score for the Dallas Stars. Head coach Scott Arniel says he would have liked a different start to the season for hometown hero and new Winnipeg Jet Jonathan Toews.
It's a tough one because our whole group wasn't good, and for him, I certainly would like to have been a better first game. But like I said, with Jonathan, it's all every day's a new day, and it just continue to get better each and every day.
Winnipeg now gets set to host the Kings tomorrow. You can find more Manitoba news at cbc.ca/Manitoba.
Thanks, Heather Wells.
Thank you.
Heather Wells live in our news center. Let's get into what's happening in our regional forecast now ahead of the Thanksgiving long weekend. Abby.
Lots of sunshine in the forecast, Marcy. Warming temperatures in the southern part of the province, and we'll see cool temperatures up north. Winnipeg right now, 7, clear skies, creeping up to 16 later. Similar conditions we're seeing in the Pembina Valley region. We're seeing that region warm up to 17. Brandon out west is at -1 at this time and clear, pushing towards 18 degrees. Dauphin is at 4, headed towards 18 degrees later. Gimli, we're looking at 2 degrees there. We'll see highs near 16 degrees today. The Par 3, Flin Flon 6, we're looking at clear skies there. Highs around 15 degrees. Thompson is at 1 with mainly clear conditions, now high of 13. While Churchill, we're looking at 7 degrees there and partly cloudy skies. You only warm up to 9. So it's more like a mostly sunny day, and temperatures will be between 13 and 16 for most of the regions. Winnipeg, right now we are at 7, warming up to 16.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the commute this morning. Corey.
Yes, it seems been very quiet all morning. I'm guessing some people who are much smarter than us booked off today, so they get a 4-day long weekend, I'm guessing. So that's probably why. It's been very quiet, but if you do see something going on out there, give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number, 204-788-3093.
Well, next on the show, we're just having a challenge teeing this up, but a conversation
Well, the new
that I had
season
yesterday,
at the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre
and I
is
believe,
underway.
I'll let you guys get reset here. So, yeah, we're just going to get reset up here because something you heard there, my voice going a little glitchy. But we're revisiting a conversation that I had yesterday, and this is about the opening of the theatre season in Winnipeg. Here now is that conversation.
Well, the new season at the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre is underway this month,
and there are some really interesting shows coming up, including some joyful holiday fun.
No, it's not.
This is North
No,
Pole.
it's not. No,
Yes,
it's
it
not.
is.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. Yes,
No, it
is.
isn't. No, it's not. Where's
Yes,
the
it
snow?
is.
No, it isn't.
Why are you smiling like that?
I just like to smile. Smiling's my favorite.
Make work your favorite. That's your favorite, okay?
Okay.
Work is your new favorite.
Fine.
It's time for the announcement.
Okay.
Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town.
Santa! Oh, my God! Santa here? I know him. I know him.
He'll be here to take pictures with all the children.
Yeah.
Just keep your receipts. 10 a.m. tomorrow.
10 a.m. tomorrow.
Santa's coming to town.
Santa's coming.
That, of course, is a classic clip, Will Ferrell in Elf, the movie. The play, though, will be on as part of RMTC Mainstage in December. But things kick off next week with The Life of Pi. It opens on October 15th. And then Wonderful Joe has already started. Both of those opening plays actually have some interesting things in common. Puppetry and, of course, animal companions, if you know some of the stories. Kelly Thornton is RMTC's artistic director and with us live in studio. Good morning.
Hi. So great to be here.
So this season looks really strong at both the main stage and the warehouse. How do you feel about it? What are you excited about?
I'm super excited to kick it off. There's such anticipation in the building right now, and we've had 2 audiences so far for Ronnie Burkett's Wonderful Joe, and the feeling is really electric right now.
In terms of Wonderful Joe, I mean, for people that don't know the story, it's essentially about a man and a dog. They go on an adventure after they lose their home, I understand. But the actors in this are marionettes, right?
Yeah.
How does that work? What do people see on stage?
Yeah, Ronnie Burkett is a masterful marionette artist. He's been doing it since he was a teenager, I think since he was 14 years old, and he builds all the marionettes himself. And so there's a beautiful array of characters from the neighborhood, including Joe and his dog, Mister. And they are so lifelike and so well articulated. I saw a preview yesterday, and he tapped his hand on the bench as he was telling a story. a little teeny tiny hand, and it was so human. It was so human.
We're watching because obviously our morning show streamed on YouTube, so you might have just seen some of those marionettes, pass by, some of the visuals of them. What is it like doing this on this stage the size of our MTC in the warehouse rather? What is it like, kind of bringing that to stage and making sure it reads at the back of the theater?
Yeah, Ronnie's actually been at the warehouse, I think over 6 times. So it's every seat is a good seat. It's a very intimate performance. Obviously, he's got a marionette stage, and so he manipulates everything above. But you see in great detail the characters, and it works perfectly.
What's the tone of the show? I mean, it's a man who's about to be separated from his beloved dog. So, what's the message of the show and the tone of it?
Yeah, I think it's inspired by something that happened in his own life in terms of an area of his neighborhood being torn down and condos being put up, and. So it's bittersweet. Obviously, it's hilariously funny because Ronnie has sharp wit, and the characters are wildly audacious. Some of them, but obviously there's a melancholia that underscores it all in terms of saying goodbye and separation and displacement.
Let's talk about the life of Pi. It also uses puppets. Tell us a little bit about it and what it's like to put something so iconic as a book. And then, of course, it's been a film too, but, onto the stage.
Yeah, it's ever since I heard that they were adapting Life of Pi to the stage, I wanted a piece of it. And, of course, it went through a smaller production in Great Britain and then transferred to the West End and then obviously transferred to Broadway. And they took that production on tour to the Mirvishes last year. But the really exciting thing about this production that we're doing at MTC in co-production with Citadel Theatre is we're the first quote-unquote non-replica production of the play. And it's a gorgeous play. The interpretation and adaptation is really wonderful. And I saw it on opening night at the Citadel in Edmonton. And I can't wait for Winnipeg audiences to see it. It's extraordinary. All the animals are brought to life through puppetry, and they are incredible. The first moments where you first see a puppet run on the stage, an animal in the zoo in India, is breathtaking. It's shocking and exciting.
It also looks, visually, colorfully beautiful. I was talking about the images going by, so we also had some of the shots of the stage and the backgrounds and such. It almost, when you look at it visually, feels like you're inside the story. Yeah,
you really are. And, the production values are extraordinary. The talent on the stage, the acting is incredible. But it's a visual feast. There's projection designs that we project on a disc on the upstage area, but we also project onto the floor, and so the ocean. When Pi is at sea with Richard Parker the tiger in the lifeboat, you really feel that motion and movement on the stage. So it's an incredible feast for the eyes.
What is coming up later in the season that you're most excited about in terms of either how you're going to get it to stage or an adaptation?
Well, obviously, you played a clip of Elf, and
it's just fun.
It's just ridiculous.
You guys
fun.
Always do so well over the holidays at picking the ridiculous fun, but also the pull at the heartstrings, something like we can all connect with. Elf.
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
Elf is just going to be nothing but delight. It's ridiculously funny. And obviously we all love Buddy the Elf. And, the message in all of that is, he goes seeking out his father, but he arrives in New York to kind of the epitome of cynical urban environment and basically has to teach people about Christmas spirit again.
Yeah.
And about treating other human beings well. And that's a great message for now and for every day. So we're really excited to bring it to audiences here in Winnipeg. And then, of course, I'm directing Murder on the Orient Express, Agatha Christie's play adapted.
In the new year, yeah.
Yeah, adapted by Ken Ludwig. And Ken has really done such a masterful job of bringing all the intrigue and suspense, but also very much bringing a sense of wit to the script. So very excited about that. And also, you asked, the challenges and what I'm excited for. Staging a train on this stage is going to be,
what are you doing with
yeah,
the train?
I'm very excited. Brian Perchalek, who is a beloved Winnipeg designer, we've been in conversation, and obviously he's got his prelim designs in, and it's looking fantastic. And it will also be very breathtaking. Our master carpenter, Brent Latane, is a lover of trains. He has a whole collection of miniature trains. And so I was super excited to tell him that we were doing the show because I know how much he's going to love building it.
One of my favorite things about going to MTC over the years is seeing how you guys stage things. And it's always so good. So that'll be really exciting. Good luck with the season. Thank you for making time for CBC and popping in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Kelly Thornton, I spoke with her yesterday. She's artistic director for Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre. Wonderful Joe is on now at our MTC warehouse, and The Life of Pi starts on October 15th.
We carry a world of information in our pockets because we want to know. It's news you can trust, delivered when you want and where you want on Canada's News app. Now with CBC Radio 1, local and live. Download the CBC News app for free.
13 minutes now to 8 o'clock. It is 7 degrees in Winnipeg, only 0 at the airport. We'll head for a high of 16 with sunshine. Looks like through the weekend, rain's going to come to us on Sunday, and showers and a high of 18. And then it gets colder on the back end of this because Monday we're only looking at a high of 8 in the city of Winnipeg. Still ahead, as you've been hearing, this year's Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to a Venezuelan opposition leader. Coming up, we'll learn a bit about the winner and their contributions toward peace. Also, we are going to hear more from a local aid organization after 8. Now that the ceasefire is in effect between Israel and Gaza, we're going to find out whether or not they'll be able to send much needed food into Gaza. So stay tuned. We'll get their perspective after 8. Right now, though, I want to take a moment to look back at a story we had on yesterday because we have an update and a bit of a correction to make. Yesterday, we heard at this time on CBC's Information Radio from Gerald Cadman. He's a home care client that depends on visits multiple times a day. He shared his story with CBC's Rosanna Hempel, and he was expressing some of the frustrations about what happens and challenges around when workers aren't able to show up. As you know, home care is in the spotlight. Last week, Manitoba Health Minister Uzoma Asseguera apologized for the rollout of a new scheduling system for home care workers in Winnipeg, and they continue to try to make improvements. The new system was meant to centralize scheduling for home care workers, but it ended up leading to cancellations and delays. When we aired that story, we aired part of what the health minister's comments were, but we said on the air that the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority had yet to respond to the story at airtime, and in fact, the response got shuffled somehow, and I missed it, so I apologize for that. Here is what the WRHA has said in response. The WRHA, quote, home care program is currently working on adjusting shifts for scheduling clerks to increase the number of scheduling clerks working during the busiest scheduling times. The goal is to ensure there's enough scheduling clerks available to reduce last-minute changes and better match staff availability with client needs. They go on to express, we understand the frustration for clients and their families when cancellations occur. And they go on to say the WRHA home care program currently delivers approximately 16,500 visits a day. While the majority of home care visits are provided as scheduled, we recognize that staffing shortages driven by factors such as vacations, illness, and vacancies have contributed to some cancellations, but we're working diligently to mitigate the disruptions to ensure continuity of care. They also say that if a visit is canceled, the client or their primary contact is contacted to ensure that backup care plans are in place, and they encourage any client or family member who has concerns regarding home care services to reach out to their case coordinator to ensure their concerns are heard, end quote. I want to add one more piece that we neglected to share on air. The statement from Minister Asseguera, our health minister, also went on to talk about, quote, why the changes are being made to the way home care is scheduled and moving away from the centralized model instead of assigning scheduled a geographic area within Winnipeg will allow staff to have more direct knowledge of clients they serve and help create more stable schedules. But the health minister's statement also says that anyone who experiences, this is a quote, challenges with their home care appointments can contact my office and we will ensure the issues are addressed. So more fulsome statement from the health minister to share, and also apologies that we missed the statement from the WRHA. All right, it's time to build on a news story that we've been hearing this morning. A mother in Winnipeg says she's still shaken after her 14-year-old daughter was allegedly assaulted by 5 other students in the girls' washroom at Oak Park High School. The mother alleges her daughter's head was smashed into a bathroom counter. She was pushed to the floor and kicked by a group of girls who were also students. Both Oak Park High School and the Pembina Trails School Division will not comment on the alleged assault or say if any of the students have been disciplined. Winnipeg police say 2 arrests were made October 6th. In regards to an assault at Oak Park, the mother says it's been stressful. She and her family moved to Winnipeg in 2022. They escaped the Ukraine-Russian war. She says the incident is flagging a bigger issue of bullying in schools. She wants more action to protect kids. CBC is not identifying the mother to protect her daughter. I spoke with her at 7.
Thank you so much.
What was it like for you? I understand you were at work when you found out about your daughter being hurt at school. What went through your mind when you got that call?
We would like to protect my kids at school in the future and other kids in our neighborhood. I don't want to that same thing will happen with other kids in the future.
So that's why you want to talk about this, because you want to protect everyone. What did you feel and think when they phoned you and said your daughter had been hurt?
I was shocked that it's not safe place for my daughter, and I was at school in 10 minutes, and when I saw video when my daughter on the floor and other kids, a group of teenagers kicking her by the leg. So I just started to cry, and I was shocked.
How's she doing today physically?
So thankfully, she didn't get serious injuries. This is headache was couple of days after we visited our family doctor. She had bruises on her head, on her leg, on her back. But thankfully, she is doing better now.
How is she doing emotionally?
I think this is big shock for her, and she's not feeling well. Moreover, 5 of students who assaulted her after they was arrested, they sharing video with other students.
So police did arrest 2 people, and there is a video you're saying that is now being shared of what happened to your daughter. What upsets you about that video being shared as you've heard it as it's happening?
Of course, she worry about that because she has a lot of friends at school, and she would like to be at school.
So, has she been back to school?
No, she was. She came back after assaulted at Monday. But she was calling me and said, "Mama, some people from group who assaulted me still at school." So maybe parents doesn't care about the warning, about what happened, or who's supposed to control that this group of students not allowed to be at school. So she saw one of them, and now until it will be serious decision about group of 5. I prefer to keep her home for safety.
And yes, I know that you shared that with us with CBC and the news. We're hearing that your daughter is afraid to go to school, where she's been told some of the girls will continue to study.
Yeah.
Is that what she's expressed to you, that she's scared?
Yeah, she's scared, of course.
What has been the school's response to this? What have they said to you or done?
They are on touch. Principal was calling me a couple of times. We was talking with school. They had a couple of meetings about that. But I can understand why they put these 5 of girls just not allowed to go to school for 5 days. What's going to be next? So I think they didn't control properly that these aggressive teenagers not going to come to school.
What would you like the school to do? It sounds like you'd like these girls maybe to not be allowed to come to school ever, or what would you like the school to do?
Yeah, I would like these 5 students not supposed to come to this school together. Because when they are together, they feel that they are so strong, so it's not going to be any consequences for them.
What would it take, you think, for you to feel comfortable letting your daughter go back to school, or for her to feel safe?
I prefer to keep her until those person will be in other school or not supposed to be allowed ever in this school.
What have you heard from police?
Police working in the process. I was apply for protection order, but I was in the court, but they declined my application because it wasn't stalking before.
Okay. So you applied for a protection order, but they have declined that.
Yeah.
And you're still waiting to hear what will happen with the case. Thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. We do have some statements from the school to share, and we will certainly follow through with the concerns. All the best to you and to your young daughter.
Thank you so much for your supporting. I really appreciate that you contact with us, because it's not just for safety for my daughter, it's for everybody. It's not supposed to be at school.
That's a conversation I had with the mother of an Oak Park high school teenager who, as you heard, the mother is saying she was assaulted by 5 other students in the girls' washroom at Oak Park High School. Her daughter is 14. We have reached out to the Pembina Trails School Division and Oak Park High School. Both declined to comment on the alleged assault or the status of the students involved. CBC obtained, though, a copy of a letter from the school addressed to parents. It reads in part, quote, "We want to reassure you that the safety and well-being of our students is always our top priority. The situation reported in the news is being fully addressed by the school division, and the Winnipeg Police Service. Support is being provided to ensure the well-being and safety of the affected student and all students. What happened last week did not meet the Pembina Trail standard of behavior at Oak Park. We center relationship, safety, and belonging as pivotal to the culture of our school community. Our school has a diverse and culturally rich student body, and we value inclusion in our way of thinking and acting that allows each student to feel accepted, valued, and safe." End quote. Obviously more to be done on this. And thank you for tuning into this part of the story. If you want to read more, cbc.ca/Manitoba is where you can go. It's also where you can find your latest news headlines. And we're about to go into national and international news. So far, I believe that traffic is pretty good. It looks like we've been pretty quiet on the traffic line. If you need us on the Friday commute, 788-3093. I just saw Corey on the phone. So update us if something's developing. In Winnipeg, it's 7 degrees. Today's high 16.
On cue. Natalie McMaster is one of the greatest ever Cape Breton fiddlers. She came up as part of the resurgence of Cape Breton music, and she toured with some of the biggest musicians in the world, bringing her music to a global audience. But she'll be here to tell you why her new memoir is called I Have a Love Story.
It's just common sense kindness and love your neighbor as yourself kind of thing.
Q with Tom Power, this morning at 10:30 in Newfoundland, and on CBC Listen, or wherever you get your podcasts. The CBC News is next. Coming up in half an hour,
It's The Current with Matt Galloway.
The Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, wants a pipeline from her province to the British Columbia coast. BC's Premier, David Eby, is not on side. Will this idea of a Canadian pipeline become reality? We'll hear from all sides coming up on The Current.
This is World Report. Good morning. I'm Angie Seth. Palestinians in Gaza are heading back to what's left of their homes as the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel is now in effect. We want to go home, says this man in central Gaza. We are peaceful civilians. We're not involved in any of this, he says. Israel's military has withdrawn from parts of Gaza. Hamas now expected to free all of its hostages within 72 hours. And once that happens, Israel will release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. The rapid developments follow Thursday's agreement on the first phase of Donald Trump's peace plan. The CBC's Willie Lowry is in Washington for us following these developments. So, Willie, the U.S. has not only had a major role in achieving the ceasefire, but it will also be monitoring things as well. So talk to us more about that.
That's right. The U.S. is sending 200 troops to Israel to support and monitor the ceasefire. U.S. officials told reporters in a call late last night that U.S. Central Command will establish a military-civilian coordination center inside Israel to help ensure that the ceasefire holds. U.S. troops, some of whom have already started arriving in the region, are not expected to enter Gaza. They'll be working alongside soldiers from Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. The U.S. played an instrumental role in brokering this deal and is expected to continue to play a leading role as they push for this deal to move forward. In order for the hostages to be released and aid to flow back into the Gaza Strip, the ceasefire must hold.
And what about the president, Donald Trump? He's saying that he'll be heading to the Middle East possibly as early as today. So what is he planning there?
Well, President Trump has been adamant that he wants to travel to the region, and the White House has confirmed that he intends to do so, but the timeline is still unclear. He has said he hopes to travel to Egypt, where an official signing ceremony is expected to take place, and according to Israeli media reports, he's expected to arrive in Israel on Monday morning. He will address the Knesset, Israel's parliament, and then likely head home. The 20 living Israeli hostages, as well as the remains of around 28 who died in captivity, are expected to be returned to Israel on Monday or Tuesday. And that's a moment that President Trump has expressed an interest in being there for. But logistics may make that difficult.
All right, we'll be watching those developments. CBC's Willie Lowry for us in Washington. Willie, thank you for this.
My pleasure.
The winner of this year's Nobel Peace Prize is Maria Corina Machado. She's a key opposition figure in Venezuelan politics, and the Nobel Committee calls her an extraordinary example of civilian courage.
She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy.
Machado is known as Venezuela's Iron Lady. She tried to run against Nicolas Maduro in 2024 in the presidential election, but was disqualified from holding office, a move seen as politically motivated. After Maduro's re-election, Machado went into hiding. Her location remains undisclosed to this day. People in Peru are celebrating a major shakeup in their government. Their deeply unpopular president, Dina Boluarte, has been removed from office. Her term has been marked by protests and accusations she's done little to stop the crime in Peru. Last night, Congress gave her until midnight to appear and defend her government, but Boluarte never showed up. And 124 out of the 130 lawmakers voted to impeach her. The leader of Congress is taking over as president until April of 2026, when a new election is due to be held. Meantime, Taiwan's president is promising peace through strength. Lai Ching-te's announcement comes as Taiwan celebrates its National Day and against a backdrop of growing military threats from China's government. Beijing claims the strategic island as its own. CBC correspondent Chris Brown has more from Taipei.
Celebrating its National Day, Taiwan's government put on a spectacle of dancers and military bands, with President Lai Ching-te using his speech to celebrate the island's democracy and political freedoms, in contrast to the People's Republic of China, its enormous neighbor and adversary across the strait. Notably, he spelled out details of a major new defense initiative, what he called the T-Dome, or Taiwan Dome, a multi-layered missile shield to intercept drones, rockets, and missiles that he said would be paid for out of a special boost to the defense budget. China's belligerence against Taiwan has dramatically increased of late, with more overflights and indications its naval ships might be staging dry runs for a potential invasion. But Ronan Fu, a Taipei political scientist, says many Taiwanese remain skeptical war is coming.
People start to get the sense that, okay, so you always tell me that it's coming, but it has been so many years, passing by, and nothing actually happened.
Taiwan's strategic importance to both the United States and China has soared as its microchip making industry has become number one in the world. China's response to the missile dome announcement is that Taiwan seeking independence will only increase the risk of war. Chris Brown, CBC News, Taipei.
Another political foe, Donald Trump's, is facing federal prosecution. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted on fraud charges. James successfully prosecuted Trump in 2023 for falsifying records to secure better loan deals for his companies. In a statement on social media, James calls the charges against her baseless and accuses Trump of seeking retribution.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General.
James is indicted on mortgage fraud charges in connection with a home purchase back in 2020. Back here at home, Canada's economy is rebounding from August's job losses. Statistics Canada has just released its numbers for September. They show a gain of 60,000 jobs, making up for most of the 66,000 shed in the previous month. But that's having little effect on the unemployment rate, which remains unchanged at 7.1%. CBC's senior business correspondent Peter Armstrong explains.
The Canadian labor market got rolling again in September. The headline is good. The details are even better. We added 60,000 jobs, but StatCan says the breakdown was actually 106,000 full-time jobs added, while 46,000 part-time jobs were lost. And you look at the sectors that are showing signs of life. Agriculture is up 13,000. Healthcare and social assistance, that's up 14,000. But the surprising one here is manufacturing. From January to August, nearly 60,000 manufacturing jobs were lost. In September, a whopping 28,000 jobs were added. This report just sort of adds to the sense that just maybe the worst of the trade war's impact is behind us. The Bank of Canada expects to see economic growth pick up through the second half of this year. And if that's the case, you'd expect to see that show up in the jobs data first. And here we are. Peter Armstrong, CBC News, Toronto.
And we're about to enter one of the busiest travel weekends of the year. Many Canadians, of course, traveling for Thanksgiving. They're not taking any chances, especially after those recent glitches at the Canada Border Services Agency that brought airports and borders to a crawl. Here's more from Colin Butler.
So I took a day off work to be there earlier. We're going to stop in Michigan and then drive to Chicago after.
Ricky Cheng has a plan. Suitcase packed, running shoes ready. He left Thursday, Chicago bound. He's not chasing turkey. He's chasing the finish line at the Chicago Marathon, and he's beating the rush, or so he hopes. Last week, 48 hours of computer glitches at the Canada Border Services Agency jammed terminals at airports and border crossings that left travelers inching through lines and truckers parked for hours. This weekend, the CBSA says the systems are solid.
We don't anticipate any outages this weekend. The CBSA is ready. We do have contingency plans in place.
Superintendent Adam James says if we all do our part, ID ready, receipts handy, know the rules before you go, there will be fewer snags.
Exactly. That will expedite it. Plus, it'll make life easier for all.
So Ricky Cheng's early jump might just pay off. Chicago by Thursday night, Marathon on Sunday, and when he drives back home on Monday,
I don't know what to expect, to be honest. Hopefully not too long.
A smooth border crossing after a long race. Now, that's something to be thankful for. Colin Butler, CBC News, London, Ontario.
And that's the latest national and international news from World Report. I'm Angie Seth.
Good morning, everyone. Friday before the long weekend. Thanks for being with us this morning. You're on CBC 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and on YouTube. I'm Marcy Marcusa with our team here at the show. Nice clear sky out there, very calm, a little bit crisp though. This hour on that program, you've been hearing the news of the Nobel Prize winner. It came early this morning. A Venezuelan opposition leader is the winner of that, being awarded it. We're going to talk about to a former UN peacekeeper about what this win means for peace in today's society. Also this half hour, now that the ceasefire is in effect between Israel and Hamas, we're going to hear from a local aid organization between whether they'll now be able to send much needed food in Gaza. Where are they at here locally? So stay tuned. That's all still ahead on Information Radio. Let's go to Heather Wells live with our news headlines. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, a Winnipeg mother says Oak Park High School has to do more to protect students from bullying. She says her daughter was assaulted and mocked for her Ukrainian accent by 5 girls inside a washroom last week. She says her daughter now is afraid to go to school, where she's been told at least some of the girls continue studying. So we'll hear more on that story. A semi-trailer was caught on video rolling into a Winnipeg street without a driver. It happened last week. It was posted to social media on Wednesday. The video showing the truck sliding onto Oak Point Highway, stopping traffic before a man runs to open the door. We're going to hear from a business manager in the area who says it was alarming and frightening. We'll hear more in our next local news at 8:30.
My untechnical term for that is scary boo kitties.
Oh, yes.
Can you even imagine?
I don't think I've heard that term before, but I think it fits.
All right, let's get into what's happening in this weather forecast. Abby.
Yeah, Friday shaping up to be a nice day. Cool start. Most of the regions expecting plenty of sunshine and some warmth this afternoon, especially in the southern part of the province. We'll be hitting around 16 degrees later. Up north, we'll see temperatures push close to 15. Winnipeg right now, 0 still spotted at the airport and 7 at the Forks. Sunshine will stick around all day and will warm things up to about 16 degrees. Tonight stays clear, but temperatures will drop to around 4. And then we'll see about 18 degrees tomorrow. Across board, we're seeing -1 still in Brandon, 4 in Dauphin, 3 in Gimli. And up north, we are seeing 2 to 5 degrees around the Gillam area. Churchill is just sitting at 5 degrees right now and will be topping out. The high will be close to 5 or 9 degrees today.
All right, thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Corey Funk, what's going on the drive?
Yeah,
and
got
commute?
a couple calls, probably about 15 or so minutes ago. Couldn't quite squeeze them on at the end. Just heard from Margaret. There's a multi-vehicle collision she saw on Sherbrooke, just north of Wolseley, in the far left lane. So keep right to get around that. It said it wasn't too backed up yet. Traffic's been pretty light so far. Also, Dennis called and said there's been a collision northbound Osborne, right on the bridge that takes you into South Osborne there over the Red River. Says it's actually it's in the curb lane, and it's got traffic backed up all the way to Fermor, possibly even onto Dakota as well. So keep left if you're going northbound to cross the Red River there into South Osborne. And if you see anything else going on out there, though, give me a call on the CBC commuter line. That number, 204-788-3093.
Corey, stick around for 1 second because we opened a can of worms early this morning.
Uh-oh.
We're getting calls, comments on our Facebook page.
Okay.
We asked, do manners matter at your Thanksgiving table? Why
Okay.
or why not?
Mm-hmm.
So the three of us, you, me, and Abby, and Heather, we're all engaging, the four of us, in manners at our table,
Yep.
how we grew up, what it's like. I was talking about, like, my family is pretty much like,
I know.
eat as fast as you can.
I'm a little nervous that we might have some angry Ukrainians calling because I said that in my family, my mom says burping is Ukrainian for thank you. But I imagine there's some probably prim and proper Ukrainians out there who would probably disagree.
Well, you know what? We're just getting feedback from people because I was asking if they matter at your table.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's obviously different, all our families are different. We all eat differently. Like my family was also, everyone ate as fast as they could. It was a sign of that you
First
love
one
the
to get
food.
seconds
Eat
wins.
more, yeah.
Yeah.
At any rate, so do manners Manners matter. Joanna Plater says the rules for her: no electronic devices at the table, no talking while chewing. Oh, I do that sometimes. My husband hates it. Using please and thank you. Sometimes no talking about politics, she says. I grew up with stricter rules, but now my mom says don't let good manners spoil good food. So there's a line there, I guess. Namely, eat while the food's warm. No need to wait till everyone is seated. So that's a rule in her house. Susan Carroll says manners always matter. Susan Brennan said, of course. Rhiannon Frost saying manners are important at Thanksgiving supper or lunch. Manners matter everywhere, Candy Shelby saying. Belinda Bennett saying it should matter whenever you eat. And Susan Rusk saying manners matter every single day. It should be understood by everyone. And finally, Leona Mayer weighing in, manners are a sign of respect. At the table, they're also a sign of appreciation for the food and the folks who prepared the meal. Which is interesting because culturally, like in my family, we always had multi-generation, all kinds of people. And the food, like sometimes you'd like throw a bun across to your uncle, and some of that engagement was actually just like the family being the family. And there was warmth in that. And manners weren't really talked about a great deal at all.
And for years, I've been telling you not to talk with food in your mouth on the radio. And now I just understand it's just who you are. It's your culture. So.
Now we're turning his mic off because I never do that. 8:16 is the time right now. If you want to weigh in on this ahead of Thanksgiving weekend, 788-3205. All right, let's talk about the Peace Prize. News of the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner came down at 4 a.m. today. We learned that Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado has won. The Norwegian Nobel Committee chose from 338 candidates. The committee said Machado won, quote, for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peace transition from dictatorship to democracy. Kausar Ahmed is an adjunct professor of political studies over at the University of Winnipeg and former observer peacekeeper to the United Nations missions in Western Sahara, and joins us now over Zoom. Good morning.
Good morning.
So what was your reaction to the choice of Machado winning this award?
Well, I would say a little surprised because of the fact that her activities are less known in our areas. And of course, we were expecting some of the heavy hitters from the lists of South Sudan refugee response team and so forth. So a bit of surprised, but again, expected because of the way Nobel Peace Award Committee considers the struggle for democracy.
Tell us a touch more about her and her contributions to peace that you think might have made her the choice here.
I think one significant aspect of consideration that the committee might have done in this case is to recognize her struggle towards democracy. As we all know, she is the opposition contender in Venezuela's Nicolás Maduro's government, and she competed last year and then went into hiding. She has a court order under her against her. So this is something pretty important to recognize that democracy must be supported. The struggle for democracy must be supported. And I think that really tipped the scale towards selection of her recognition and recognizing her activities in Venezuela. And second point, I think geopolitically, it is important to understand that Venezuela is in the radar. And although we are all focusing on Gaza and Ukraine, but I think Nobel Peace Committee wants us to, again, shift our focus to other areas which needs to be considered.
And you mentioned Sudan. So, I mean, that has been the biggest sort of elephant in the room of what's not getting world attention, right? I do want to ask you about Donald Trump, because for months the U.S. president's been hinting that he wants the Nobel Peace Prize. He of course, the peace deal phase 1 is ongoing right now between Israel and Gaza. This morning we're hearing some Israelis and Palestinians agrees that he would have deserved this. What do you make of the fact that he didn't receive it?
So again, I think it is too early. If I know correctly, the procedure that Nobel Peace Committee considers the applications or nominations, I think they closed this early this year. So, and I think that is one of the reasons that Mr. Trump is not in the list. However, I would like to acknowledge that U.S. role in ending the conflict in Gaza must be acknowledged. And it is something extraordinary in a sense that there were no other ways we could find and see the transformation of the conflict in Gaza other than U.S. involvement. And naturally, the president as a leader comes into consideration. But I think he has a fair chance next year, if I'm not wrong. And this is typical because even in the case of Malala Yousafzai, we have noticed that in the year when she was very much discussed amongst our circle that she might be the strong contender, but she eventually won in the next year. So I think that is going to happen. But the peace in Middle East is very significant and I think important. And Mr. Trump might have a fair chance next year.
How complicated will it be if he does win this prize, given not what you said he's accomplished, but some of the other things, obviously, that he is controversial around?
So definitely it will draw a lot of attention and criticism amongst researchers, observers, policymakers around the globe, because the prize itself is political as well. We should keep in mind, and especially out of all the categories of the Nobel prizes, this is one that has geopolitical considerations. Look at the number of awards since 1911. And I was counting before coming to this session today, 20 women won, and many of them were actually won because of their political activism. Think about 2003 Nobel Peace Prize given to Shirin Ebadi of Iran, and again in 2023, Nargis Mohammadi from the same country and the organization, and just to recognize their activism and their struggle to bring democracy and the voice of women in Iran. So I think Nobel Peace Prize is always political. And if Mr. Trump wins, then it might recognize his contribution and his willingness to end the war in Middle East. And on the other side, of course, there are criticism of domestic policies, his other rhetorics that often we see in terms of human rights and other things. So it will be a dual, I would say a mixed approach of acknowledging his prize if he at all wins.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for responding to who did win this morning and for the conversation. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
So the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, awarded early this morning for 2025, is Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. We've been in discussion with Kauser Ahmed about this, adjunct professor of political studies over at the University of Winnipeg and former observer peacekeeper to the United Nations missions in Western Sahara.
There are many people who bring success, innovation, accomplishment, and charity to our community. We'd like you to help us meet some of the best. CBC Future 40 will honor 10 Manitobans under 40 making a difference. Help us discover the inspiring people in our province by nominating a shining star in your community today. For details, visit cbc.ca/future40mb.
Please get those nominations in for Future 40. Do not think that you are not worthy. Do not think that person in your life that you've always admired or motivates you to build our community together in Manitoba. Do not think that their contributions are too small. A lot of people kind of wait and they think, oh, well, I won't nominate myself or someone else because maybe that's not big enough deal. I assure you it is. It takes each and every one of us to build community. This is the most lovely thing. I think I love honoring people in this way. And so please get those noms in and check out that website. Right now, 6 degrees in Winnipeg, sunny, and at the airport, just 1 degree, so quite a difference. Our high today, as we've been telling you, is 16, and it will be sunny. On Sunday, we're expecting showers, just looking to some significant events in the weekend weather-wise. Well, we are now just 2 days into a peace plan between Israel and Hamas, phase 1. This is a move that hopes to see hostages released within 72 hours and the road to aid for Gaza citizens opened. MCC has been providing aid to Gaza for decades, but that aid has been blocked by Israeli forces for the past several months. Bruce Gunther is here in studio with us, Director of Disaster Response with Mennonite Central Committee. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So I know this is so early, but do you already either have hope or have you already been trying to figure out how to get the aid in?
Yeah, so we're cautiously optimistic about the ceasefire. We are ready to go at scale. We have 4,000 boxes waiting in Jordan of food to get in. As I think I've said before, that's like the distance from here to Brandon, from Winnipeg to Brandon. So we're ready to go. But at this point, there hasn't been a change to NGOs being able to get aid into Gaza past the Israeli blockade into Gaza.
So the thinking that this came down phase one and that the blockade moved and your trucks are rolling is wrong.
That remains to be seen. So again, we remain optimistic, and we're very grateful that there has been a ceasefire. We're grateful for a commitment to increased humanitarian aid. I was reading that the amount of trucks that should get in should be pre-war levels, which is what we need. We need it to be at scale. There is famine in Gaza, and we need to respond quickly to very urgent needs of the population.
Have I oversimplified that, or is it really literally that what's kept you is that blockade, and then if that would move, the aid could flow?
There's both the blockade, and then there's also Israeli restrictions on INGOs that are operating in Gaza. So you need permission to get that aid in, and that's controlled by the Israeli government.
How many trucks do you have then there? Do you know the...
So there's 4,000 boxes. I think that roughly translates into around 4 trucks, but you have to unload and offload all along the way. So.
What was your reaction when you heard that at least there was, I shouldn't say at least, when you heard about phase one of the ceasefire?
We're very grateful. We've been calling for a ceasefire since the beginning of the conflict, and we want the killing to stop. We want to ensure that people are able to live in dignity and respect for their human rights, and that both Israelis and Palestinians can flourish.
Given the scale of this, of the starvation and the deaths, how do you make sure that the aid gets to people who are constantly on the move?
That's been the huge challenge, and we're very grateful to have local partners there that were able to distribute aid in a very orderly way and in a safe way. So we're grateful for the local partners that we do have that have shown tremendous strength, while themselves having been displaced numerous times throughout the conflict.
Peace building is obviously also a big part of what MCC does in your mandate. You have presence both in Israel and in Gaza. How do you see the role of MCC in the region moving forward as this peace plan further develops?
Yeah, I think one of the key roles that we play within Canada and also with our U.S. constituency and supporters is to educate people about the conflict and the background to the conflict, but also to provide opportunities for Palestinian and Israelis to have dialogue with one another. But there's a huge rift. We want the release of the hostages, and we want this killing to stop, and then we can talk about what is the long-term solution for both Palestinians and Israelis to lived in safety and to flourish.
From what you know of the scale of the destruction, we're talking about the aid, the people, the starvation, but the physical destruction of Gaza. Has MCC, you worked all over the world. What might this be even comparable to in the coming months? Should you take a role in helping to physically rebuild?
Yeah, I think it's 70% of all infrastructure or buildings have been destroyed, and it's a very condensed space. So I don't think I could really, compare that to another situation. So just the population density and the scale of the destruction is just massive.
Thank you for coming in, Bruce. Obviously, we're in fragile moments here, and we'll have to, lean into what's going to happen this weekend and then on Monday, which is the date where the hostage exchange is supposed to happen.
Again, we're optimistic and we're thankful for the generosity of Manitobans, and we hope that we can deliver that aid at scale because people have been very generous and there's great need.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce Gunther, live in studio with us, Director of Disaster Response with Mennonite Central Committee, or MCC. Well, I find myself with a moment to thank the people who work so hard on this program day in and day out, our associate producers and part of our live team, Corey Funk, as well as Abby Adiyemi. Incredible to work with you both. Also, our associate producers who write and book interviews and obviously are just critical. There's no show without their work. Sierra Sanders, Chidi Akuma, May McKillop, Carmen Ponto, Marshall Hodgins, Jenna Badosso, Dylan Longhurst, and Chloe Friesen. Reporter in our unit is Jim Agapito. Our community reporter in unit is Shanley Vidal. Thank you to both for your work and your video as well on our YouTube streams. All of our videographers that also work in our unit, and they rotate in and out helping us out here. Hosts in unit, Nadia Kigby, Marjorie Dalhouse, Faith Fundal. In our news department this morning, Josh Crabb. Throughout the rest of the week, Joni Nicolo, as well as Heather Wells, always incredible, and Megan Ketchison, always out there on the chase. Our YouTube producer is Darren Marash. Welcome to the team. First full week, Darren. Also, Nellie Gonzalez, the producer of all of the shows in our current affairs unit, working around the clock, as is Leif Larson, the senior producer of audio at CBC Manitoba. Huge thanks to all of you. Right now, your news is next.
This is CBC News. Good morning. I'm Heather Wells in Winnipeg. At 8:30, it is 6 degrees. Get set for a beautiful afternoon in Winnipeg. Sunshine throughout. A high today of 16, well above warm, above seasonal for this time of year. A Winnipeg mother says her daughter was beaten up by 5 girls inside a washroom at Oak Park High School last week. CBC News isn't naming the mother to protect her daughter's identity. The mother says her daughter told her the girls accused her of saying negative things about them, which she denied. She alleges the girls then made fun of her daughter's Ukrainian accent before knocking her head onto a counter, pushing her to the floor, and kicking her. She says she got a call from a teacher about the incident.
I was shocked. Do you know that I live all my life behind because it was war in Ukraine and emergency immigrated in Canada to keep my daughter safe. It wasn't easy. And now I'm not sure that school place is safe for her.
Oak Park High School and Pembina Trail School Division won't say if any of the students have been disciplined. In a letter, the school told parents the safety and well-being of students is their top priority and the situation is being fully addressed. Winnipeg police say they arrested 2 people on Monday. Wab Canoe says he wants downtown Winnipeg to be home to Manitoba's first methamphetamine detox center. The premier says what would initially be a 20-bed facility is planned for 190 Disraeli. It all depends on the passage of a bill to extend the time people can be held in detox from 24 hours to 72. PC critic for addictions and homelessness, Jeff Bariza, says his party still has a lot of questions about how it will work.
It's very good to have these people in somewhere for 72 hours, but how many? Where are they going to be? Where does the staffing come from? What happens in rural Manitoba?
190 Disraeli is the same building where a supervised consumption site had been proposed last year before the province changed its mind. The Postal Workers Union says it is moving from a nationwide walkout to rotating strikes beginning tomorrow morning. Canadian Union of Postal Workers National President Jan Simpson says the move to rotating strikes will get mail and parcels in the hands of Canadians. Canada Post now has 45 days to respond with a plan to implement government directives, including ending door-to-door delivery and closing some rural post offices. Well, Canada's economy is rebounding from August's job losses. Statistics Canada is out this morning with the numbers for September, showing a net gain across Canada of 60,000 jobs. The national unemployment rate remains steady at 7.1%. But in Manitoba, unemployment grew last month from 6.2%, or rather to 6.2% from 5.7% in August. Rescuers in the Philippines are assessing damage after a strong 7.4 magnitude earthquake. It struck the southern coast early this morning. At least 2 people are dead. Several buildings, including a hospital, are damaged. It has been almost a year since the province and Manitoba RCMP promised new officers to crack down on crime in the Swan Valley region. To date, 3 positions announced haven't been filled. Staff Sergeant Scott Linklater says they simply don't have enough officers. Right now, just 12 of 22 positions at the Swan River Detachment are staffed.
With our resources being as low as they are, we can't take members from
the detachment or from anywhere to put them in a GS position, because we want to ensure that we have enough general duty members to respond to the priority calls that come in.
Linklater says they expect 3 new members to join the Swan River Detachment in November. The General Investigation Section is expected to be staffed in 2026. A Canadian transport company is investigating after a truck rolled into a Winnipeg street without a driver. It happened on Oak Point Highway at Eagle Drive on Wednesday. Video posted on social media shows the semi moving into traffic, bouncing lightly back and forth before a man runs to open the door. Daryl Budge is a general manager of an area business.
Fortunately, the truck didn't hit any poles or damage anything and didn't have a collision with any other vehicles, but that's, luckily that's the way it turned out, but it could have been a lot worse. I agree that it's a scary situation.
Winnipeg police say the incident wasn't reported to them. The company operating the truck says it is investigating. You can find more news updated throughout the day. All you have to do is head to cbc.ca/Manitoba.
All right. Thanks, Heather. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
I'm going to be much more well-mannered this year, I think, after our chat this morning, all of us. Okay, let's have a last look at the commute with Corey.
That collision on the St. Vital Bridge, now cleared, should be good to go. May still be an issue on Sherbrooke, just past Wolseley in the far left lane. There was a collision there earlier. Keep right to get around that.
Abby.
Overall, sunshine for just everyone today. Mild in the south, cool up north. We're seeing Winnipeg around 6, and that's the condition for most regions down south. Up north, we will be seeing more like cooler temperatures there. Churchill is only going to top out around 7 degrees, but Winnipeg, we're getting to 16, and a lot of sunshine into tomorrow.
All right, thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. If you're celebrating this weekend, enjoy friends and family, and also enjoy volunteering. I know there's lots of places that will be putting on community meals because we're all together here, and there's going to be meals provided for those that might not have someone to sit with, so there'll be tables in community for that to happen, which is always awesome, I think. We are back on Monday morning. I will not be here, thanks to Chloe Friesen, who's going to be hosting Monday morning. Thank you for listening each and every day to Information Radio. I'm Marcy Marcusa. This is CBC 89.3 FM, 990 AM on the app and YouTube. The Current's coming up next.